Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have a really, really interesting topic: karma, luck, and free will. Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in luck? Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in free will? I think free will is one of those ones most people would say they do believe in, right?
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, I think the question has to be, do you believe? Because karma, luck, and free will, I don't know if it can be proven.
Yeah, I don't think it can be proven.
It's a belief.
It's a belief.
Right? And I think some people think, no, it's true. So we're going to unpack that fully in a moment. Let me throw the AC on because it's getting hot in here. We're going to have the great Clutch come on from The Truth of Love in a moment. Before we get warmed up in here, though, just to get a temperature read, we got B on deck, 35-year-old male from California.
What's going on?
And I don't think I've ever asked you before. Just a quick question. Do you believe in karma?
Not in the, I guess, the mystical sense of it.
Karma's mystical?
I don't know, throwing it out there. I believe that the more, positivity you put out in the world, the more positivity you get back, or vice versa.
So you believe in it or you don't believe in it?
I don't know. I'll hear your opinions on it, and then I guess.
What about luck?
Luck?
Do you believe in luck? Do you think that luck's a real thing? In other words, do you think that people get lucky?
It's an
interesting question.
Yeah, it's interesting because
you never thought about it before. Because someone will say, "Oh, I got lucky," but there's luck to me is a belief. But I'm saying, do you believe in luck? Do you think people just get lucky?
It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about it a little bit more.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about free will. Free will means that you have the choices to do what it wasn't premeditated your life, which some people don't agree with. But we're going to get into that today. We're going to get a little deeper. And currently we have 0 people on deck, which is always encouraging.
Oh, that's nice.
So yes, karma, luck, and free will. Do you believe in karma? And those are interesting things to start with. If you watch this live stream after the fact, answer it in the comments below. Let me know. Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in free will? Do you believe in luck? And a lot of times there's not a straight answer. B was just wait a minute. Do I believe in it? We also we often just go, that's karma. Oh, that person's lucky. Do you really believe it's true?
Yeah, you say it a lot, but I don't know if you necessarily believe.
They're so lucky. You know individuals like that, right?
Yeah.
Just checking my notes here. All right, let me call up the great Clutch. We'll get him on deck here. Chomping at the bit. That's in. Is that plugged in? Well, it's not coming in. I have to call back one more time.
One for the phone, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. You're on deck. I don't know what happened there. It's always organized with me.
I think it's time that you take an IT training course.
Oh, that just makes me cringe to hear you say that.
It's okay. We all have our moments. I swear to God, baby, this never happens.
Yeah, the phobias that people have with spiders and snakes and different things like that. When you say IT, I'm like, no, I don't even like that word.
Well, you know me, my realm of work, I'm constantly fixing technical problems. So It's the joys of my life.
Yeah. Some people, it's like, it's perfect for them. Those are the people that I go, hey, can you help me?
Can you help me with this, please?
Those are the people I'm friends with at work. I'm like, hey, man, can you help me out with this? Hey, you can learn this really easily. I know. I think, when you look at things like phobias and different things like that, I always say that there's kind of a root to it. And I think when I was a wee chap a long time ago, I'm thinking maybe 8 or 9 years old. I'm not sure. We got an IBM computer. I remember we had an IBM computer, and it was archaic by standards now, right? And I remember my dad was like really drunk, and he's like, "Got the computer. Come here, Mac. Type something on it." And I was just kind of like, "What?" Like, "This is the future, Mac. Sit down." And I'm like, I don't, okay. And I'm like typing, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I
Started then.
Dad's drunk. It wasn't, I'm not going here like I got beat up or something like that. It's not that dark, right? But it was just, it was a bad first experience with a computer, so I'm going to blame it on that. And ever since then, I just kind of was like, oh, computers? No, I don't really like them. And I remember that IBM though. Write about your day. Just, you got to do it. You have to do it. And you're just like, Dad's, over the top of me, looking at me like, do it now. And it's like, I don't want to play computer anymore. I don't even want to play games on this thing. So I maybe that was my root of not liking, computers or working on them. I actually, as a kid too, even like Nintendo, I had Nintendo, and everyone had their video game phase, and I played some Contra and some Mario Brothers.
But you weren't into.
No, I was never. Yeah. I was never. Deep into even the video games. I like to play outside and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to blame it on something. Clutch.
Wow, that was like a good 5-minute rant on why you don't like computers. I'll never bring up the subject again.
I'm a lot better now, though.
Yeah.
I know. And the funny thing is like there's no excuse anymore, because you can just do how to on YouTube, right? Or how to on Google. So you can pretty much figure out anything you want. But
this is true.
Just negligence. This is true. Just negligence. So today's going to be a cool topic: karma, luck, and free will. Do you believe in karma? This is something that Clutch and I talked about doing a live stream about. And so I'll start. To me, just to start, I think what we'll do is we'll go piece by piece: karma, luck, and then free will. Starting with karma, I believe it's a belief that can serve or hurt you. So I believe that karma is something you believe in or you don't, and it's completely up to you. But I don't necessarily think it has to be true. No. How should I phrase this? Let me reframe this. If Clutch says I don't believe in karma, I'm okay, because it's not 2 + 2 is. If Clutch says 2 + 2 is 5, I'm like, hey man, I think you got that one wrong. Right? It's a fact. So to me, I choose to believe in karma because I think it serves me. I think it serves morals and values.
Right.
But I would not tell someone else that doesn't believe in it not to believe in it. But I would ask someone that doesn't believe in karma, how does that serve you? Because an interesting thing I find is the people that go, oh, karma's not true, generally don't have my morals and values. And they usually use it in their favor. In other words, saying like, well, it doesn't matter if I'm a jerk or if I'm this way. And like I said, if you don't agree, it's okay with me. It's not one of those things where you're wrong or you're damned. Now the other part of my belief in karma is I think karma comes from within. So I can't say, hey, B, that's bad karma. You're going to hell or you're going to pay for that. I might think it, because I think that we all have a moment where someone does something pretty jerky or asshole move or narcissistic, etc. And you go, wow, you've never been there before or this or that. And that could be karmic. I believe, though, that the individual has to deal with karma on their own, and if you have guilt, shame, embarrassment, or worry, then that's your suffering from what you did.
Sure.
And that can be part part of the karma
Part of it,
story.
yeah,
Now,
okay.
I'll share a quick story where I felt like this was direct karma. And here's the crazy thing. I'm going to be honest. My worst karma story, I wouldn't even want to share it. I wouldn't even want to share it. But one that I witnessed is there was a guy that was a friend of mine, and actually you know him too, B, I believe, George. And he had a really bad motorbike accident. Was paralyzed. Horrible. Really good person, good guy. And I was at a restaurant of a mutual friend, and I'll never forget this. We were talking about George in the hospital, and we weren't sure what was going to happen yet as far as the
procedures and
well,
what was going to happen with him.
And there's hopeful and wishful
Yeah,
thinking
right,
that
right.
maybe you're not going to be paralyzed and all this
Right.
other stuff. I don't even like talking about it. And this guy that knew him but wasn't really good friends with him, he drops into the conversation and he goes, well, if that ever happens to me, just kill me, just shoot me. I'm just going to, and he just did it really nonchalant, no care, like
Right.
no, everyone's kind of like, worried about him, feeling bad for him. And this guy drops the coldest. Well, if that's me, and he's shooting pool, he's like, if that's me, just kill me. I'm just saying. and I swear to God, and I don't say that often, in my head, I remember going, you shouldn't have said that. And I didn't say, oh, that's bad karma or anything like that. I felt it. And I swear to God, a year later, that guy was paralyzed in a motorbike accident.
Crazy.
Now, am I using this as making karma true? No. This is just an event that I witnessed that I felt like when it happened and the way it went down, it could be just chance. Absolutely. But I look at it as one of those things that you can choose to believe in it or not believe in it. But I think if you believe in karma within, I'm not saying to go around and say, hey, Clutch, that was bad karma, what you did, and me being the judgment of what you did wrong or what you did. I'm saying within, if I do something bad, if I do something I feel bad about, then it's probably going to strike me later on because it's going to stay with me. So I think karma stays within. It's not someone else casting it upon you.
No, I agree with that.
So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna let Clutch take the reins. I know he takes a little notes and stuff like that, so he's gonna jump in here.
I'm a loud typer. I apologize if
No
you're
problem.
hearing me.
No problem.
So there's a couple of factors here.
Sure.
The first is that we have to first distinguish between relative karma, which is what I think you're talking about with the concept of feeling bad about something, and universal karma, which is this inherent belief that the universe is somewhat connected, and depending on which Eastern religion you follow, whether that be Hinduism, Buddhism, or elsewhere, that has this concept that the universe has a way of balancing things out. The concept here is, look, religion, much like most social constructs, this includes societies, workplaces, families, has some purpose merited to it. And the thing that makes human beings different than most animals, and I'll use some examples later on, is that we have the conscious ability of analyzing and understanding our surroundings and determining a cost and effect scenario. So if I break my leg, I can attribute the cause and effect to that versus an animal breaking its leg. It just knows it's in trouble. That's the difference between human beings and most animals, and there are some minor exceptions here. The idea is that because human beings have this concept of self-awareness, there is this requirement to define what it all means. And usually this comes out in the term of religion. Now, does this mean that religion is inherently good or bad? No, I don't think religion is good and bad. It's all about the context and how it's used. But if we try to look at it from a sociological standpoint, in other words, we're analyzing the society as a whole and the interaction between individuals, we start understanding that karma, much like any religious practice or religious belief, has its merits structured in control. Again, not to say that people that are religious are, quote, bad. It's just that with this extra level of consciousness that human beings tend to have, we tend to try to rationalize our reality in order to conclude why things work a certain way. Now, what's happened in the last 200 to 300 years is that science has taken the front seat as far as the explanation of how things work is concerned. 500 years ago, we didn't know why the Earth was round. We didn't know why the Earth went around the sun. And then all of a sudden, Isaac Newton came out with his 3 laws. And then, of course, Einstein came out with the theory of relativity. And we have a much better understanding of it. The whole concept of karma follows the same principle in the sense that there are certain things that happen in our lives that we can see as unjust. For example, being paralyzed in a motorcycle accident. Does this mean that the person that did this was inherently bad, or even the person that you had mentioned had followed up said, if this ever happens to me, shoot me? Is this a case where he deserved it and, this was the universe attacking this person and essentially redistributing a level of balance? Well, the truth is, we have billions of interactions each and every day, not individually, but collectively as a whole. And through those interactions, we'll remember key areas that will fit what our definition of reality is. Mm-hmm. You've heard the saying that you will seek out what it is you believe.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've heard. Yeah. The same thing goes with karma. Mm-hmm. And this is why, you and I have had conversations in the past, and I usually say very dismissively, I will admit, karma is true to the believer, but I've never really gone deeper into what that means. And what it means is that if you've built your reality and your belief structure based on this concept that the universe balances out, you're going to find reasons to justify it. And if you don't believe in karma, you're going to find reasons not to justify it. It's not to say that one way is right and one way is wrong, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It has to do more with your internal self, your internal reflection, your acceptance of your shadow. How do you feel at the end of the interaction, and whether or not you are a good person or not?
Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. For me, I think I choose to believe in karma because I think it serves me. But I choose to believe in karma for my own actions is what I mean. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of times people use karma as a way to go, oh, you did something bad. So for example, to weaponize karma, right, would be you break up and you go, oh, you're gonna pay for what you did later on. You're gonna receive karma. That's not my place or judgment to do that. In that. You certainly could, but that would be using karma as a weapon. Whereas what I'm saying is I think at its best, and this is opinion-based, not fact-based, because I think that's what gets lost. Someone goes, no, karma's true. No, it's a belief. It's up to you. Now, with the beliefs that you have, there's no way I want to try to prove karma's true to you or not. But I would like to say, what's the alternative to believe that, your bad actions don't lead to more bad things happening? I guess that's okay. But I would rather say, as long as you're not sitting in the guilt and shame of it, where you're feeling bad, but if it restrains you from doing bad things or making bad choices that hurt other people. Because I think good karma at its core, and again, opinion, would be someone that leads with really good intentions, right? But
why are they leading with good intentions? It's because they think that something is going to happen that's good.
Well, I'm saying if someone believes in karma, right? It is something that if you are being mindful in your decision making, which you always can't be, sometimes you need to make split-second decisions, right? Sure. Let's be honest. But if you're coming across a big decision and you think to yourself, I believe in karma.
Like the universal sense that something needs
and so,
balance or whatever? Okay.
Well, if we're going to go into the universal sense of it, for me, it's personal. I shaped karma the way I want to shape karma, and I'm gonna answer to karma the way I answer to karma.
So yeah, like you said, it comes within yourself.
So when I shared that story really quick, I thought that was bad. Now I'm not saying I went, because I saw that guy the next year in the hospital, and don't think that I didn't go, damn. But do you think I went, man, you deserve this, and you remember what you said? It was going through my head. I didn't ever want to say, do you remember what you said? Right?
Right, of course. Yeah, you don't.
Right? So I think that whether you believe in it or not, number one, it's a choice. It's not a truth. And I think that's for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you have karma and it serves you being a better person,
Mm-hmm.
then I think then that's a good thing. And so I've had things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've had moments like that happen where I thought this lines up with karma. I've never gotten into the past lives thing. I know people that are really deep on that, and actually it interests me. It interests me to learn more about it and whatnot. But I'm not sold on it. I'm not.
Right.
I don't know if I can get that deep. So you can go down a lot of different paths with this. For me, it gives me a meaning to do good things, and to feel like when you do bad things, I don't know if it's going to be even or fair. I don't agree with that. In other words, every bad action is going to have a good action, or
Right.
excuse
Like
me.
you're not saying that it's going to be completely balanced.
I don't think
but-
karma has an expiration date. All right. Here's where karma is going to really be evident, and I'm gonna come back to this with luck also. I believe that you really can't tell what you believe was karma and what wasn't until events unfold. So, a couple like that example story I gave you, we can obviously shape that as karma.
Or you could
But
just
someone-
say
could be chance.
coincidence. Yeah, it's coincidence.
It's a choice,
Yeah.
right? For some reason, I had a weird feeling when he said it, but you know what I mean? I could have been just filtering for that. But I think when you get on your deathbed, which I hope's a long time away, that's when you kind of look through and look back and you go, man, that was karma, or that was this. And you can see which event led to which event. But if you're out there looking for it or actively, I think the worst way to use karma is to weaponize it and point the finger and tell everyone else what's karma and what's not karma.
It's good. I mean, if karma is pushing you in a direction to be a more positive person, then that's fine. But I also just believe that, if you put more positive things out into the universe, generally speaking, you probably are going to get more positive things back to you. And like I said, vice versa on that. So, if you want to say it's karma, then that's great. If that's going to help you, be more positive,
So the question for you, Clutch, is because you gave a lot of different stuff. Just flat out, do you believe in karma?
No.
Okay, so why, specifically to you, why don't you believe in karma as an individual?
Let's use my life story.
Great.
I grew. Yeah.
We got about 8 hours. We got 8 hours to burn.
Hey man, you just talked 5 minutes about your belief structure. I can talk 5 minutes about my life.
I love it.
I used to be a Buddhist, and part of Buddhism is this self-awareness aspect that karma entails. Like Buddhism talks about this arrogant sense of self and looking onto others to punish them whenever they do harm, and that's actually negative karma that you're absorbing from other people. So it actually advises people to not have that judgment mentality for that reason. And then if we get into the whole aspect of past lives, it talks about how we're all connected and how the universe is one. And like this is stuff that modern day physics is talking about with quantum entanglement. So there's some relative truth here in the aspect that we're all connected and we're all one and the same. And, there's a spiritual side to science, which is something that really interests me from an intellectual perspective. But then we get into the concepts of circumstances. And karma does a good job in the sense of saying, why is it that some people grow up poor? Why is it that people are subjected to abusive households? And usually, at least in Buddhism, it takes this relative notion of how you acted in your past lives and how you have basically decided to pay off that karma is how you find yourself in this life. And up to a point, up into my teenage years, that kind of made sense to me because it basically takes this foundation of suffering and why is it some people die of an incurable disease as soon as they're born? And this sort of throws a notion of an answer into the unknown. And it kind of makes sense until you get into the realm of psychopathy, which is something that I became exposed to an extent in my late 20s. How do you take someone that is unable, it's not a question of them just ignoring, they are unable to feel empathy. And based on that, using your example of, what karma makes you feel internally, how could you ask someone that is physically incapable of putting themselves in the shoes of someone else to understand the pain that they've caused? How do you explain karma to them? And the truth is, you're correct in the statement that karma is internal. But for these people, it doesn't exist. They see it as a weakness. They see it as a means to exploit others. It's not to say that everyone is like this. Most people I come to on a day-to-day life are good people. But me personally, I don't need karma to be a good person. And that's the difference, at least in my view. I can be a good person and not think that it's quid pro quo, or a good thing that I do for someone else is automatically going to come back at me. In fact, in the realm of Buddhism, like I mentioned, you shouldn't do an action to expect a positive outcome, because if you're doing it for that reason, that becomes negative karma. So the aspect is, look, if you need karma, or if you're compatible with karma to the point where it allows you to be a good person, I say use it. But in my particular case, given my upbringing, given the realm of psychopathy that I've had to deal with, both from my family as well as an ex of mine, I look at the realm of, is the world fair, and are people fair even internally? And I have to say the answer is no. There are people out there that don't have a sense of karma, who will take advantage of me if I'm not careful. And quite frankly, I rather be cautious otherwise. It doesn't mean I'm closing myself off to the rest of the world, but it also means that, look, I can be a good person to you, but the moment that you stop being a good person to me, I don't need to take the higher moral ground. I don't need to put myself in your shoes anymore. I can just walk away with a clean conscience, knowing fully well, you know what, I did my best and I don't need to justify it with karma.
Okay. What about you, B? Do you believe in karma?
No, I'd agree with Clutch. I don't think that it, like me personally, I don't believe in karma, but I just think that if it helps you, like he said, be a more positive person, then yeah, that's great. But yeah, for myself, no, I don't think I need that in my life to be a positive person. I generally just, with my own self, just want to do that. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, like I said, I choose to believe it because I like it.
Yeah,
I like the concept. I like the concept. I've witnessed things in my own life that it became true. I do believe it doesn't apply to some people, but that doesn't mean that it's not true.
Right.
I think, like I said, it doesn't have true to me. It doesn't have an expiration date. But I think the key to it is, like I said, to with any of these kinds of things, when someone discusses it like us three right now, no one's going, "You're wrong." You're gonna pay for this because you don't agree with me. It's a subject you can talk about, and you can come back to it and change your mind. And like I said, it's interesting when you can understand it's a belief, right? It's a belief, and so beliefs can be changed and beliefs can be beneficial. And if it doesn't hold power to you, fine, I'm okay with that. But like I said, in my own way, not in any way being a Buddhist. I would like to ask you though. You've told me before that you were 5 years a Buddhist.
Something like that. Yeah, most of my high school years.
So how did you? I'm just curious because living where I live, we have temples. We have a lot of people that are Buddhist, and so I'm familiar with it quite well. I've had a couple of girlfriends that are Buddhist. I've been to the temples. I've paid merits. I've done things like that. I wouldn't call myself Buddhist though. But what did you? What did you do? Did you just follow the teachings, or did you go to temple? Did you actually do active things as a like a lot of people that are Buddhist are?
So the thing with Buddhism is that for the first, I believe it's 2,000 years or 1,000 years, for the first 1,000 to 2,000 years, Buddhism actually wasn't written. So a lot of the religion was spread with word of mouth. This is why when you go to Buddhism in, let's say, Vietnam, it's very different than the Buddhism you have in mainland China or parts of India. And it's the only religion that's like this, the only major religion where you have these broad interpretations of what the religion is all about. But because of that, it's also the only religion that I'm aware of, at least a mainstream religion, that allows you to reject certain principles of the religion you don't agree with. So the Dalai Lama talks about this all the time, where he says, look, you don't have to follow this to the T. In fact, this is just a guide to help you get to from point A to point B, very similar to what we do when it comes to coaching. Like I might know the answer for your relationship problem, and I might just tell you just leave the person, or I might be able to guide you gradually to the end goal that I know you're probably going to eventually get to. So Buddhism allows you that flexibility, and that's the one thing I liked about it, because in Catholicism or certain levels of Protestants, if you disagree with the church, guess what happens, you know? Like history hasn't been very kind to these people that have disagreed with the church, but Buddhism has been very different. It's not to say that extremists don't exist in Buddhism. They definitely do. But for the majority of Buddhism, the mainstream Buddhism at least, they've tended to have been pacifists. And in fact, it's the only religion that I'm aware of where it doesn't matter what religion I'm talking about. I studied religions in university for my poli-sci degree. Like I ended up going to I ended up studying Islam and practicing the religion. And I walked in the door. I said, I'm doing this for school. And they asked me, oh, well, what religion are you? And I said, a Buddhist. And they're like, oh, please come in. There's an overwhelming embrace when it comes to Buddhism, as if to say, we accept you for what you are. And I find that it's not like that with other religions. And that's what I liked about it.
And why did you let it go?
Like I said, it was slowly and gradual over time. But then in my late 20s, when I started reading about psychopathy, I couldn't justify it anymore, at least under the principles of the choice that you make prior to entering this life. Like you choose the body, you choose the circumstances, you choose what karma you have to pay back. And you take someone as extreme as Hitler or Stalin, people who were obviously psychopaths that didn't quite care about other people. How do you justify that? Like there's a very famous saying in Auschwitz. It's the concentration camp in Poland, and basically one of the quotes was from one of the prisoners there: "If God exists, he's going to have to beg for my forgiveness." And the context there is that there's such evil in the world that how could I ever justify this as being karma? Like karma is supposed to be a concept of self-enlightenment, enlightenment through suffering, by the way. But if your suffering is the torture and murder of millions, how is that supposed to be an altering balance in the universe? I just can't see it personally. Like it's one thing if someone dies accidentally, or, you know, there's a chain of events that, you know, a person dies as a source of food for something else, you know, and the land grows from it, and, you know, a tree spurts from the remains of someone's ashes or someone's body. But in the extreme cases like what happened in Auschwitz, where people were gassed to death and burned to death, I can't find the balance there.
Okay. All right. That's probably the deepest place you can go on that. All right, let's go into luck. All right, I believe you make your own luck, and true luck is not judged until the end. So where am I going with this? So I said this earlier on karma. I think that if you're on your deathbed, which hopefully is far away, I think that's when you'll have more of an aerial view. I would think, depending on how you are on your deathbed. Everyone's different. But let's just say you got 10 days to go, and you're kind of going through it, and you know it's coming, and you're going to review things, right? You're going to go over things. I believe that your life is a series of moments and events where one leads to the next. And it's not till later on, if you decided what you thought was lucky is really lucky, because there's plenty of people out there that would say when they won the lottery, it was actually the worst thing that ever happened to them, or something bad such as a breakup. Not to, later on someone's like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So luck over a long haul sometimes doesn't always seem as lucky as it was, and sometimes seems luckier than it was at the moment when you're looking in the past, when you connect the dots. So the other part is, I would say also luck is a belief. It's not something that can be proved, even though some people believe, oh, you're just a lucky person. This person always gets lucky. So I think that you're more apt to be lucky if you believe you're lucky. There's actually and I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it. A study out there.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember the exact study, but it was something like 100 people, or maybe more than that, and they planted $100 bills in this big auditorium or something like that. And the people that said I'm a lucky person, the people that said I'm not lucky, and then some people in the middle. The people that said I'm lucky found the money.
Right. Was it just
the
a self-belief that hey,
you're filtering filtering for things throughout your life.
So that's just your general mindset.
Yeah. So you're more apt to come across things like that. So the other thing is, I find that when someone says that they're lucky, and this isn't in all cases, there was a real estate agent I worked with that ended up being a mentor to me, and I worked directly with him, and he was a very good salesman and top agent in the office. And so in the real estate world or residential, and my experience, you might have 40 or 50 agents, and there's 20% are doing 80% of the business. That's maybe even 10% are doing 90%. And so a lot of people look up to him, and a lot of times they're arrogant, and this guy Dave would just be like, oh, I guess I'm just lucky. It was a way to be humble.
Sure.
So it can be used as a way to be humble in some ways. But for example, I remember him telling me a story about being an agent, and the market was pretty strong and whatnot, but that he was doing an open house for someone else, and he just by chance left some of his flyers that had his name and number on them by accident, I think, out in front of the house, and someone grabbed that, bought the house from him in a day. Now that's extremely lucky, because it's like a $20,000 plus commission that he just put together. Someone picked up a flyer off the ground.
Yeah.
Now that could be thought of as luck, but at the same time, he was there. He was doing the action that is going to make the luck. Just like I always say, to win the lottery, you need to buy the ticket and actually believe you can win. I never buy lottery tickets. I never think you can win. So I think there's got to be belief in luck. And then, like I said, luck to me, in the moment, later on, you can go, wow, that wasn't as lucky as I thought.
Yeah.
I wasn't as lucky as I thought I was. And I would challenge people to answer a question of, right now, looking at your life, what was the luckiest moment? Now, I did this earlier because I was writing out some notes, because I'm dealing with Clutch here, who's a really good talker, so I wanted to be on my P's and Q's here. So I thought to myself, what is my luckiest moment? Right? Like I thought for a minute, because right now you can't see B right now, but his eyebrows are curled like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you think you want to come up with something really good, right? So, and I thought for a minute, what is your luckiest moment? I've found money on the ground before. Yeah, don't really remember it though, but that would be one of the luckiest things, right? You find $20. Yeah, you find some money. I've found other things on the ground before, and different things and stuff like that. But actually, just to share, mine would be, this is what came up. I went on, and I've told this story before, but I'll say again. Right after my bad breakup in my late 20s, going through that time of, having trouble with everything, just not a good time in my life. And one of my best friends, who's not very good with women, or I don't think so, was like, I got this girl, I'm gonna hook you up with this Japanese, and she teaches English here. And I'm like, whatever. I go on the date. It's a double date. I don't like the girl at all. Have no interest. Not attracted to her. Not my thing. Go through the date. They recommend that I look into teaching overseas, because there are teachers here, and maybe you want to teach in Japan or Korea. I was actually looking into teaching in the Bay Area and whatnot. Anyways, one thing leads to next. 6 months later, I'm in Thailand, because this moment that seed was planted, and they told me, why don't you look into teaching overseas and maybe go over there for a year? And then that tumbled into something. To me, that's probably my luckiest moment, because I didn't know that was going to happen. It led to me moving to Thailand, living on the beach, teaching at a university. And here's the other part that's crazy. I'm going to throw a little karma spin into this, Clutch. Are you with me? Are you still on? Or are you bored yet?
No, I'm still with you.
All right. All right, bud. All right. So this particular friend that took me on this blind date, and like I said, I knew it probably wasn't going to be the best one, just knowing his taste.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we go on it. This particular friend of mine, we were college roommates, maybe 5 or 6 years earlier, and he owed me like $2,000. Like he stopped paying his rent. I'm not gonna go all into the story, but he owed me money from not paying back rent. Some other things went down. Now, I chose to believe him when he said, "Hey, I just don't have the money, bro." Like and he was down and out, and I chose to stay in contact with him and not cut him off because he was a really good friend.
Right.
And I could have easily said, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
You owed me this money. You left me hanging, right?
Right.
But we stayed in contact. We stayed cool. And then when this shit went down with my breakup, he was one of my best friends. He was there. He hung out. He called me up. And when you go through a bad breakup, you know what I'm talking about, Clutch. Sometimes you just need a buddy just to hang out with.
Sure.
You just just to get lunch with or something. Some friends, they don't get it. They don't get it. They just are like, "Oh, I'm busy today," and you're like, "Oh, I just really needed to hang out with someone for." Get out of the house or something. He was there. He was there during that moment, and he still owed me that money, and I just kind of knew he didn't really have it and whatnot. But in that moment, that's the person that was the bridge to this lucky moment.
Leading to this,
that was in the moment. I came back. I'll be honest. The date he was with, I really liked. I was like, wow, I like her. So the date didn't go well. At the moment, it didn't feel like luck at all. At all. Looking back, might be my luckiest moment. Led to me living in Thailand for 10 years and putting a huge twist on my life and doing exactly what I wanted. So I don't know if luck's determined till later on. And then even then, was it lucky or was it just part of a series of events?
Right.
So I'll go ahead and let Clutch chime in and give me your take, bud.
I thought that story was heading a completely separate direction where you said, I went out on this date with this Japanese girl and I didn't like her and then I ended up sleeping with her. So I'm kind of surprised it didn't end up like that. But,
sorry, Clutch.
I know, my heart is just breaking.
Sorry, it wasn't that. Like I said, it was one of those things too. I remember being so unattracted that I was like, this is, I was just talking to the other girl mainly. I was like, geez, she didn't speak good English or anything. And it definitely didn't feel like a lucky moment at the time. But like when I look back, I'm like, and that's what I would add is that I think that you're going to get more lucky moments by being active and getting out of your house and doing things that might help out your goal. And at that time, my friend's like, dude, you just need to, let's just get out. And I'm like, I was a little negative about it. The date didn't work out, but it led to something else. And I think that's how luck works sometimes.
I think that people would all benefit from taking a basic data management course. And I say this in the least condescending way possible. Mainly because in data management, you learn how statistics works. So like whenever you do any kind of case studies or you survey people, there's ways of manipulating data. There's ways of understanding different pieces of information in order to come to certain conclusions. But the things that it talks about principles of random chance.
Okay.
So if I take a quarter and I flip it, what's the likelihood of me landing heads or tails? If you were to take a risk assessment, like on the top of your head, what would you say that the result would be?
Say that question again. I'm sorry.
If you would flip a coin, heads or tails, what's the likelihood of heads coming up and what's the likelihood of tails coming up? For you?
I would hope 50-50, right?
Most people would say 50-50. And in the relative aspect of things, it's technically true. But if you actually do it, if you take an algorithm and you tell a computer, I want you to flip a coin, what ends up happening is usually tails is consistent about, I believe it's 63% of the time. And the reason for this just has to do with the nature of chance. You can take all predictable variables in an equation and come to a conclusion. This is the likelihood my ex will come back, or this is the likelihood that you'll succeed in this activity.
Yeah.
But there's so much randomness and unpredictability, what's usually referred to as chaos theory. If you guys have ever read Jurassic Park, that talks about this. Chaos theory is basically talking about the concepts of unpredictability. And the concept of unpredictability is that in most scenarios, under the majority of circumstances, you don't have control of the outcome. But what you do have control over is the repetitions. How often am I going to take this random chance? So you know the Wayne Gretzky saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. The same principle applies here. You chose that day to go out for dinner, but if it wasn't that day, maybe some other day you would have chosen to grab lunch with an old friend and decided to move to Seattle. Or maybe you would have moved to Canada. Like, all these relevant chances have an expected outcome. You have no control of what that outcome is going to be, but what you do have control over is the choice of taking the action. This is where luck is kind of a bit of a paradox in a sense, because when I say I believe in luck, what I'm actually saying is I believe in repetition. And that through that repetition, I can maximize my chances. You've heard me say that, where you can maximize your chances over and over and get a positive outcome. But at the end of the day, what determines you getting something, it's not karma, it's luck. Now, the difference is, have you increased that luck through your repetitive chance? Depends on the type of person you are.
Have you read any of Dean Radin's work?
I have not.
Do you know who Dean Radin is?
No, I don't.
Noetic Sciences. He has a book. Rob I.S., who I think might be on here, I think he knows who that is. He's written a book called Entangled Minds and also Real Magic. And he actually, how should I say, he does a lot of research on this type of stuff and different things. But what came to my head when you mentioned the coin thing, the coin flip, besides tails never fails, and I always pick tails.
Really? I love heads. I don't know why.
The immature thought in my head was like, tails never fails. 60% okay. That's why I always picked it. No, he was talking about dice, right? Which would be similar, right? Clutch, in the sense that the chances of getting certain numbers in dice.
Right.
And in one of the books, they did this thing where your how should I say this? The outcome that you're thinking, how often it comes out. So Noetic Sciences, he does a lot of, it's not remote viewing, but things with, I don't want to call it psychic. He uses a different term for it, psi, whatnot. And he does a lot of research on it. It's pretty interesting. And he says that what you believe the outcome is going to be sways the outcome. What you believe, so if you, for example, the heads and tails things, I'm not going to speak for Dean Radin, but I think based on what I've read from him, he would say if you were confident rather than just tails, heads, if you were like tails never fails and it's in your head and you have this hard belief, you're more likely to have that occur. And he said the same thing with dice. The thing that it was hard for me with the dice thing, this was a study that was done where people were saying, I'm going for number 5, I'm going for number 5 and getting it. It's like, how do you measure what's going on in someone's head?
Right.
So I think that gets more into other fields, but
It's complicated.
Yeah. Like I said, it interests me though. It really interests me to read books like that because it's not just woo woo. He's not just saying if you read some of those things, there's studies and different things on it. So I understand where you're coming from, but let me ask you this, Clutch. What was your luckiest moment in your life, if I may ask, if that's shareable, if it's PG?
Non-PG is getting a blowjob from a perfect 10, But as far as PG, I would say getting fired from my job.
See,
There you
in the
go.
moment, it wasn't lucky.
Yeah.
No, and it wasn't. And at the time, it was probably the first betrayal I've ever had in the corporate world. I've had a couple more since, but it was very eye-opening. Back then, I was working retail. I was just to give you a quick summary, I was promised a management job for a cell phone company. And at the last minute, the regional manager did something which I don't want to get into because there was some legal ramifications for it.
Okay.
But let's just say I ended up getting the Ontario Labourers Board involved, and they found the company guilty of quite a number of things. Long story short. But at the time, it was my first betrayal, and I felt incredibly vulnerable and incredibly alone because people who had claimed to be my friend were no longer talking to me, and I was painted as this evil person, and it was very eye-opening. But this goes back to the concept of luck, and this is something that I know you're going to like. Luck is subjective.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very enticing for us as human beings to rationalize our principles and to rationalize our circumstances. Like, one of the things that data management talks about obsessively is this notion of biases and biases' impact on surveys. So there's no such thing as a bias-free survey. I can't go out and interview 100 people and get a bias-free result, because the people that are going to interview me are going to be the type of person that want to interview with me. There's going to be the type of person that doesn't want to talk to me.
Yep.
So you're automatically excluding a certain part of the population. The same thing goes for our rationalizations. Like, we have internal biases. Like, I talked about the coin flip algorithm. Well, maybe the coder decided to start with tails instead of head when he was developing the code to do this, and maybe that affected the outcome. There's biases in everything we do, including coaching, by the way.
Sure.
So what we have to do is we have to have a better understanding of ourselves and our limitations. This is the one thing I do like about Buddhism, by the way, still, is that Buddhism doesn't present itself in the notion of being all-knowing, but it presents itself in the notion of saying, this is the steps you need to take in order to get there. And for some people, that's great. For other people, they hate it. The idea there is it's up to you. The journey is up to you. Now, if we want to take it another step further, we can easily look at Freud and his interpretations of what the conscious and the unconscious mind thought and believed. And one of his famous sayings is that when it comes to the unconscious mind, there's no such thing as a mistake. So you start asking yourself questions, well, how often have I done something that has sabotaged me in the long run, that's resulted in an outcome? Maybe I knew this is what was going to happen, at the very least at a subconscious level. And I've talked about this where I said, I don't believe in karma, but I believe in projected insecurity. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the concept that human beings at a certain conscious have a relative understanding, at least assuming they're intelligent people, have a relative understanding of what circumstances and outcomes will result from their actions, regardless of what their age is or their intellect. They have an ability to understand, at least at an instinctual level, this is going to result in this kind of consequence. We usually call this intuition. You can call it whatever you want. But the idea is that sometimes we take chances. Sometimes we decide to take that extra step, and sometimes it pays off. But in the majority of cases, how many times do we fall before we succeed?
Yeah, the idea of intuition being tied into this, I agree. It's part of it too, right? But yeah, that's another way to frame karma. Really, is what you just said in a different way. Is that your subconscious? Like, I think I said it in a different way. I think that karma is going to show its head if you have guilt, shame, embarrassment, worry about an action you've done in the past. And I think it also lines up with your health. If you feel guilt, I think guilt's one of the strongest ones, and I think a lot of people are carrying it. I know that,
Well, guilt usually you project, like you're holding.
You can hold it though.
No, I mean you're holding it out there, but it's always, like if you're feeling guilty all the time, you're usually putting that out there in the world,
Let's not hold on. Let's not confuse guilt with shame, guys. Because
no, they're
guilt
different
and
words, different things. Different things.
I would say that people project shame.
Guilt
is a little more introspective, if that makes sense.
Go ahead.
Yeah, guilt is something you carry when you think, versus shame. Shame is something that you project when you feel insecure.
Going back to one of the reasons like I said, I think that some of these things, if you're on your deathbed and you look back, I think, and my grandmother, who passed away a long time ago, I think 20 plus years ago. So this isn't like a fresh wound or anything like this. And this is something that was discussed a lot, but she had cancer, and I don't know if it was lung cancer or not, but she smoked cigarettes, so it could have been. I don't remember. I was a young kid. But I do remember my grandfather telling me that she did mention, she basically, there was an argument in the family with her parents. And I don't know the exact argument, but the argument had to do with money, which happens a lot in families, and something else. And her father and mother were living with my grandfather and her, so that, which happens a lot. And basically there was a fight, and my grandfather was like, "Look, you got to move out to her father." And basically my grandmother was put in a situation. This is what I was told, that it's either him or me. And which I think this is probably a narrative in a lot of stories, right, with families and marriages, especially back in the day, I suppose. And my grandma chose my grandfather because her father was, I think, a bad alcoholic from what I heard, and I think she probably thought it was just at the time, but there was more to it. But she didn't talk to her father and her mother and her brother for like 20 years.
Long time.
Yeah, like just kind of lost contact. We never knew. I had heard some things, but I didn't know the specifics. But guess what came up when she was in the hospital? That came up.
Right. I would assume the shame from that outcome.
Right. That came up, or guilt also that she never visited them. And I wasn't there. Like I said, I was a young kid. But guess who carried that after? My grandpa lived another 20 years, and it affected him after, because a few times it got brought up, and my grandpa's a pretty tough, stubborn old Irishman, and he would get teary-eyed, and for him to even share that, that she said that, it transferred over to him.
It stayed with him for...
Right. And my point is, I'm not like, oh, this is my grandfather's karma, because this is where I said I don't think karma should be weaponized, in the sense that if you're going to use it to judge your own life. And really, if you're going to use it, and I've noticed it in my own life when I use it now, this might sound funny, but I've had it happen recently where something happened. And I'm sharing all these dark stories about other people, but I'm like, I don't want to share this one. It's like, nah, that one's personal. And then you go, I start laughing and I go, I guess it's just karma. It's a way for me to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's a way for me to laugh at it and go, you know what? Now you know what it feels like.
Right.
Because you've done it before. And I'll even add to that. Maybe you're in a situation. I had a situation a while back where the university I was working at, something happened and my superior got upset with me, and it really upset me. And I was, when you get really upset and all these things are going through your mind of how you're going to get them back. You don't like to admit that, especially as a coach, Clutch. But I'm human. You're like,
human nature. For sure.
You calling me out there, especially as a coach, Clutch,
right? Because we're both in the same shoes. I'm not saying, I'm not, right? Like I tell people all the time, I'm not, like we're all humans. I just do my best to help people out and be objective, right? Yeah. But then I get in those moments, and I'm like, all right, coach, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna? And when I was in that moment, I had to ask myself, this is a good thing. I said, this person that really upset me in the meeting, that passed judgment on me and said some things that really upset me, I'm like, have I ever done that to someone before? I had to laugh.
Right.
Not any time recently. Right. Would I do it now? But then I thought to myself, have I talked to someone like this before or in this way? And I'm like, yeah, I have. Now, is that karma? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, it helps me deal with it because it makes me go, all right, you know what I mean? Maybe this is what's coming back to me. Now, if I dealt with karma in the other way and said, this guy's going to have karma because of the way he spoke to me and what he said to me.
Like you said, you're weaponizing it. And
and then that's my way of using it as I'm going to get you back. But if I look at it in the sense like, okay, How am I going to accept this
We're
situation?
just looking at it as like a different perspective.
Yeah. And how am I going to accept this? Okay, I've done something similar in the past, and I wasn't aware of how much it affected someone or something like that, right? So I think that for me, that's how I use it. But on the other, and like I said, when it comes to my mind, I'm like, have you ever had, I mean, anyone in the live stream, because you guys aren't as active right now, have you ever had a moment where you're like, I guess it's karma, Mac, or I guess it's where you've had something happen to you and you think to yourself, and like I said, that's a way to lighten it up sometimes and go, okay, and make reason to make reason of it. So I guess the other thing we have on our list is free will, which associates with all of this. And I do believe that we all do have free will to make our choices. And I don't think that everything was premeditated for people. I don't think that that's like, in other words, that something was meant to be. I think that there's something there that I will say in my own life, things keep knocking on your door, if that makes sense. I call it like you go, for me, when I was in my 20s, I'd say from a teenager all the way in my 20s, I was like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. And that was just always knocking on my door in a specific kind of way, and I kept ignoring it.
Right.
And then when I did, it fit like a glove. I really liked it. So
can I ask you this then? If some people out there believe in like the universal karma sense, do you think that there is free will like associated with that then? Like, can you have free will if you
define universal karma to you?
Like, there's an actual balance of, like if you do something bad is going to balance out to you. Do you think then there's a loss of free will there? Or if you've used it like you said before, like, your own your personal, inside you, like karma are you giving up any free will in that sense?
I suppose some people's actions that affect you are out of your control. I suppose that the only thing in your control is how to react to them, right? In the real time. So I would say that how you react is your free will if something happens to you. So the great Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, I don't know if you've are familiar, but the base of that is he's in a Nazi prison camp. He's facing death. He's lost his wife, and his whole thing is to find meaning in it, find some kind of meaning in it, which for him was to write his book and to carry on with his. And the whole book is about him finding meaning in the situation of being in the camp and coming out of it, right? So I would say your free will, if you're, being held in something that you don't want, is how you react to it. Because his whole point is it's your choice in how you deal with it. And what Viktor Frankl talks about that in that prison camp is he's observing all the other people and how they deal with it, and not a way like this guy's an idiot or is this. But one of the things that came out was like, when I remember the book correctly, and I would recommend, this is a good read for anyone that's human, is he said that when people would give up, in other words, you're in the camp and you're facing, hunger. Yeah.
Unbelievably horrible.
Yeah. Typhus, I think, was a big thing. All these other things. And he said that the worst thing people could do, or one of the worst things, is if they had a dream that they got out on March 13th, or one of them was New Year's. Like on New Year's, I was back in my home and all this stuff, and they would tell their friends, and then that time would come and pass, and they didn't have it come to fruition. And he said within a week those people would pass, like they lost their will. And he said whenever someone really lost their will, they would go to the simplest pleasure, like having a cigarette. And he said like cigarettes were something that were valued, just like jail, I suppose, like traded and stuff. And he goes, that's when they would, have a few cigarettes and be like, all right, I'm letting go. Yeah. I'm letting go of fighting anymore. But got a little bit off topic with that book. But free will, I think that you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can definitely control how you react. And that would be it. What's your take, Clutch?
The conversation of free will is so complex. Instead, what I'll use the metaphor of the bacteria that's in a pantry dish that's being watched by a scientist. Do you think that bacteria knows it's a prisoner in the pantry dish?
No.
It wouldn't know, and it wouldn't even know how to comprehend, even if it had that awareness. So the same thing goes with human beings and free will. Either we're slaves, in which case nothing I say means anything, or we're not slaves, in which case nothing I nothing I say means anything. It's a conversation that is self-defeating.
Yeah, if there's no way of knowing, like just like the bacteria in the petri dish, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's more of a belief than a fact, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, people are going to think I'm anti-religion. I'm not, guys, but like, there's this meme I love, and it's a meme of Jesus where he basically says, I'm going to create a man and a woman with original sin, and then I'm going to impregnate that woman with myself as her child so I can be born. Once alive, I will kill myself as a sacrifice to myself to save you from the sin I originally condemned you to. And it's just the paradox of what religion actually means. Religion is a course that human beings have used, karma being one of them, as a means of defining and explaining our surroundings and the things that we don't have control over. Now, this gets intertwined with luck because we have this belief, well, if the concept is, what does this have to do with my self-development? Like, if my entire action or my branch in this discussion has to do with luck, what's the point of working if it's just coming down to luck? Well, it's not just luck, it's repetitive action that you have control over. What we tell people in coaching, you have no control over this other person, but what you do have control over is yourself and your actions. The idea of, I'm going to do this repetitively until I get something I want. It might not necessarily be this one individual person, but it could be something a little unanimous, such as my internal happiness, or a satisfactory job, or a level of physical fitness, whatever goals that people want to throw a specific way. Consistency is going to be key. Whether you use consistency in the form of karma or something else is up to you. Every person is different. I say use whatever works for you.
Being at peace with yourself is the key, right? Being at a place where you feel good about yourself. It's often in coaching sessions when I can tell someone's a pretty good person, at least on the surface, or a good question to ask people though is when they're really having trouble. Is do you like who you are right now, or do you agree with what this person's saying about you that's extremely negative or hurtful or fucked up? You know, because people throw darts when they're in breakups, or do you believe that comment to be true? Because when you really have trouble with something, and I have to do this now too, when that incident I said at my school, it's like, why are you having so much trouble? Do you believe it's partially true? It's like if someone says something that, you know, it's one thing if I said, B, you're just an idiot. That's a pretty broad statement, and you could go, whatever, consider the source. You know, it's like you can react to that so many different ways, right? But if you're like, really?
I am.
Then you're kind of giving it power, right? Whereas if I said, hey man, you look like a palm tree, and you're like, what? It's like doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Yeah. You're tall and have a pair of balls on the top.
It's like, so literally when you think about that, you give it no power because you're like, it's absolutely not true. But then when someone makes a comment about you that might be hurtful, like if I said, hey, you're just ugly, man, and someone goes, what? But if someone reacts like, well, you're entitled to your opinion, man. That's so clean, right? Because you're like, I don't really care that you said that. Sure. But there's plenty of people out there who go, oh my God.
Because you're not giving the individual power, right?
Right. So that comes up all the time. All the time. All right, let's get into, if anyone has any questions on the live stream. Karen Ashley, which sounds like an anchor's name. Karen Ashley reporting live on Channel 5. I think I'm just thinking because we had an anchor man in the Bay Area that was Dan Ashley. Do you remember that name?
Dan Ashley, yeah.
Dan Ashley, Cron 4. Thank you. How about...
Actually, in one of my coaching sessions, I actually had a news anchor as
really?
one of my clients.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did.
Did he talk like that? Or she?
Actually, he did.
Where you're like,
I
hey
won't
man,
say-
turn off the Anchorman stuff, okay?
I won't say for what city. I can say this. He worked for Fox, and
Okay.
it was just very interesting story. Very nice guy. Super nice guy.
I actually, a real quick story about an Anchorman story, or I think the guy was the weatherman in the Bay Area. And my ex-girlfriend was going to school for, I guess it was they called it TV and radio or something. I forgot what the name of the degree was. And so she was interning at one of these news stations. And I was like, oh, great, you know. And she's like, oh, such and such weatherman, Steve Raleigh or something like that. And I was like, okay, yeah, he's really nice. I'm like, I'm sure he was, hon. You know, you're 25 years old and you're good. You know, it's like, okay, I'm sure he took a real big interest in your career. And she was like, yeah, and he was just telling me how he broke up with his girlfriend and how great it was and how free he was in life. And I'm like, how does that conversation even fucking come up, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, did that just come up in the break room, hun? It's like,
And today's forecast is a bunch of depression.
Yeah,
Please
just-
give me some comfort.
he was trying to plant a seed. That's literally. Okay, so Karen Ashley, how about peace on earth by obeying Genesis 1:29 and not eating murder enslaved animal products? We could probably eliminate the evil virus too. Ashley means dream in Celtic. Okay, Karen, thanks for that. Johanna, I hope karma takes my ex once again and the girl he left me for so bad. Well, that's what we were just talking about. I think that using karma against someone else isn't really going to serve you because you might be disappointed. Then you have to track them to see if it comes down, right?
Defeats the purpose.
But if you're laughing about that statement, Johanna, that's okay. If that's a playful statement, but
and it's playful.
yeah, to literally keep your eyes on that, you might be disappointed because, like I said, even when you look at people that you think are evil or bad, you know, getting away with it, don't they always end up getting caught in the end?
They end up getting old, like we all do.
Well, I mean,
But most murders in the U.S. aren't solved. So it's a question of like what your interpretation is. It's just like I don't mean to sound negative in any way, shape, or form, but there's a really realistic approach that we have to deal with here. Whether it's dealing with COVID or dealing with dangers in life. Like life is dangerous. 99% of living things on this planet will die prematurely. So you have to do your best to watch yourself and protect yourself. Not to say that you're going to become a fear-mongering hermit and live in an igloo in northern Canada. It's just a case of, look, you're educated people. Most of the people on this live stream are here because they want to educate themselves. I don't know all the answers, but I am here to remind people, look, there is a basis of logic that we should be following. Thankfully, we live at a time where science is dominant, that we have the answers, or at the very least we have the potential of seeking these answers with a lot of support and some technology behind it to help us keep connected even when we have to keep separated. So it's a very exciting time to be alive. But don't get caught up in the moment and obsessing over this one person that screwed you. There's quite literally, what is it, 9 billion people on the planet now, or almost 9 billion? There is literally so many people on this planet that you could go through a person a second and not go through all these people in your lifetime. So remember, relativity is a thing, guys.
So if we're going to say that you, based on your belief of luck, if you're going to say that you're just increasing your odds of getting luckier by repetition, right? So for example, just a simple way to say that, Clutch, would be if you bought 100 lottery tickets compared to one lottery ticket, you have better odds, right?
Or like if the story you said about that guy leaving pamphlets, like if he did that every day,
right?
So that increased your
increases
odds.
your luck, right? I would say that for everyone out there, now I'm going to spin this in an interesting way. I think that more than ever before, because of social media and the internet, we're caught in a position where we're not doing any active actions. It's more such a passive spectator type life of watching other people's lives unfold or scrutinizing.
Sure.
How many people spend a lot of time on scrutinizing other people in the media and not making some kind of action to create some kind of luck, right? So when when I just talked about my luckiest moment, how I would never know that to be a lucky moment now, right? That my friend asked me out on a double date and I wasn't very excited about it anyways, but I said, screw it, I'm going to go out. He's right. I should just get out of the house. And I was apprehensive. I was skeptical. I was like, he never goes out with women that I like. The list goes on. But my point is, if something lucky was going to happen, which at the time would have been thought, the luck would have been thought totally different than what occurred.
Sure.
You do have to get out there and actually be doing things that have the opportunity to be positive. And I think that right now, people, one of the things that I guarantee you will be counter to that is checking your ex's social media.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you're going out there looking for negative things if you're doing that. Like you're looking for them to be, going out with other people or doing something else,
I get it though.
Yeah,
I get it. If you're already someone that uses social media a lot and whatnot, after watching, I finally watched the Social Dilemma. Did you watch that yet?
Yeah.
I know, Clutch, you said you watched it, right?
Yeah, I did.
The whole algorithm thing about how they track your exact time you spend
This
on
is what I was
pictures.
thinking when I watched it,
Yeah.
right? I was thinking to myself, Corey Wayne says to read his book 10 times. I understand why. Because I haven't read his book 10 times, but I understand why. People should watch this video 10 times. This documentary 10 times to let it sink in. How
manipulative?
Well, I mean, just the fact that people that created it or are part of these companies are like, yeah, no, I would never let my kids on social media. I'm like, wow. And then what got me though is the guy that had the red hair and the red beard. He was working for a new company called like Humane Technology, and they kept flashing that up. So I kind of thought maybe he made this to because it made me want to look up whatever he worked at, right? But man, a client I have right now that I've talked to for a couple of years, he's just in a kind of a fresh breakup, long distance, and he's got some different things going on. I believe he's in his late 40s. And we're talking about it, and he's dealing with it. But one thing he's got going for him, he just doesn't even do social media. It's not even on his...
He's kind of in that range, the age range.
Well, I mean, there's people that are addicted to it that are older.
There are, but I think that age is
more possible.
It's more possible and more prevalent.
And so he just doesn't even... It's not even a part of it.
Sure.
He's able to... And it makes it so much, dare I use the word easier, cleaner. That if you're going to try to do no contact or you're going to try to move on,
it's like not even a possibility.
If you get snippets of their life,
it just like pulls you back in a little bit.
It's more than that. It's torturous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and you ask someone, how do you feel after you check their feed? Horrible. It's like, what are you doing, right? I think there was a study a while back though that and this is an old one, that they said that if they put people in a room and they gave them nothing to do but the opportunity to zap themselves, like to electrocute themselves.
Just for stimulation.
Yeah, this is
crazy.
true.
The boredom, the pain is better than boredom.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And the amount of people, they would be like, hey, you just got to sit in this room for an hour or 2 hours. I forgot the name of the study. And they said that the amount of people that would just zap themselves to feel something.
To not be bored, yeah.
But it sounds... It's when I said that you're like, yeah, right.
Oh no, I've heard that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it goes to the point like, what do you? It kind of reminds me like, if you're doing that, then you're basically saying to yourself
feel something.
Yeah, you're saying I don't have anything else better to do than go online and check these things. And every time I do it, it's giving me a shock.
Feeling something, even though it's painful.
Right, and it's giving me some kind of news on this person.
Sure.
I'm not unsensitive to the people that are hooked on it, but it's one of those things. Hey, man, you got to get off it. You got to get off it because
put your focus on something else.
Is this where Matt comes out and says, "Guys, I'm totally into BDSM"?
What's BDSM?
That's like
bondage.
Bondage stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Where does that come from on this?
Like pain.
Well, you're just like, I feel pain.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean relating it to that?
Totally
okay.
to that,
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend. No. It's like whenever someone goes, a friend.
Yeah, friend.
I have a friend that does this, right? That's funny.
A friend of a friend did this.
Yeah. I have a friend.
Honest.
Go ahead.
Or sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to say, social media is such an interesting, I want to say monster that we're all dealing with, because too many people are being given platforms to say things, and not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing that people express themselves, but there's no filter anymore. And in the past, like, you know, I go back 20 years ago and I say, you know, I don't believe in a vaccine. I'd be attacked verbally by other people being like, what the hell's wrong with you? And now there's an entire platform of people that just build up this hype, going back to what you originally said about this concept of people that put themselves through pain. Look, I'm just as guilty as everyone of creeping my exes, but something that happened that was really creepy, and I didn't plan this to happen. I've told you I've been off social media for a while. I do have a Facebook account, but I use that strictly for marketplace, so to buy and sell things, and have no friends. And the other day I popped on, and, you know, on the suggested friends list, my ex pops up from back in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I click on her, and she has a status of single. Facebook knew the moment she became single, they put her on my suggested friends list. No history with this account whatsoever. That's creepy.
That's creepy.
So creepy.
And you continued to look, and then you click to the next.
I mean,
and then you click.
And they're tracking all of that.
That's the part he didn't say. He's like, about an hour went by, and I was still on.
I was still on Facebook.
And then you wouldn't believe what she said.
Yeah. And you know the picture I saw her with this guy? Oh my God, what a loser. Right? I mean, it's just, you go down the yellow brick road, man. Yeah, no, it's
It is a monster, I'd say.
Well, when you watch the documentary, you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, but
I'm done. I'm sold. They got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like if it was a sales job and they had something to sell you at the end that would guarantee that you
You're
never
hooked.
use it, you're like, I'll take one of those.
Yeah.
You guys got me. You guys
Yeah.
built the case. I'm in.
If they were selling like a blocker for like, you know, you to be off of this.
That's
yeah.
why I said I'm like, this is one of those things you got to watch it maybe 10 times. You got to watch it like 8 times for it to like, because later on you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna check. But for me, I've always just been a disinterested person in those things. I have an Instagram for the channel and for coaching. And
yeah.
you put up your quotes, and even the quotes that I picked out I like, but then I see all these other people putting up quotes, and I'm like, God, we use these old dead people that are authors. So it's like I can come up with good quotes myself too, you know. It's one of those things. Like people like, oh, it could be used for good things, but when you watch the Social Dilemma, they're like, no.
They kind of force you into like, you know.
Well, I mean, when it's basically like someone validating, like, you know, crack cocaine's not so bad. It just gets you really addicted, and you can find a way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's no, it's not good. There was this. Have you ever heard of Rick Ross, the drug dealer? And then he.
Wait, he's a.
No, Rick.
You're talking about the real.
This is
okay.
So Rick Ross is originally like a famous drug dealer in L.A. Do you know who this is, Clutch?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I guess, and I might get the story wrong, but Rick Ross, the rapper, took that name from this guy because he was. It's like a well-known name. So this guy actually sued Rick Ross, the rapper, for using his name. Did you ever hear this?
I've heard, yeah.
Right? Anyways, long story short, the real Rick Ross that was like the drug dealer or drug dealers, you know, making millions of dollars, the cliche story where he went to jail, maybe it was karma, and he lost all his money. This is the one that always gets me whenever I see these. I'm like, oh, didn't you want to quit and move to a tropical beach somewhere? 'Cause that's what I...
Right. Yeah.
Didn't you want to stop at a mill? And they're like, oh, I was making 10 million, 30 million, 40 million. You're like,
Just had to
wow.
increase that, yeah.
Right? So this guy's story is basically, he's at Ground Zero. He's selling T-shirts, literally, that say Rick Ross on them. Hot seller, I'm sure. Right? He's like, these are the original T-shirts, ... But the part that got me is, I think this was the 80s that he was making all this money. And I don't remember specifically what drug it was, but I think it was coke, crack, and all these other things. and they're interviewing these different guys that were like top dealers, and it always gets me. It's like these guys can just be public.
Yeah.
And some of them are boasting a little bit, like, I was making millions. It was nothing to me. I'm like, God, you're selling, you're like ruining your community and people's lives.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're making money. All right, okay. So, but here's where it gets good. Part of the documentary goes in that the CIA in America had introduced these drugs to these communities, and so they had these town hall meetings, and they were like, let's blame the CIA for, like that America did this and all this other stuff. And I thought to myself, well, if this is true, okay, but it doesn't take away the fact that you as an individual
Are still
sold drugs
selling them,
to people,
Right.
whether it was introduced by anyone, you still have to be accountable for the fact that, you know what I mean, that you.
So you
and this guy was
upon-
like, the CIA brought it in, man. They did this to my community. I'm like, wait a minute, but you sold the drugs too, right? Like, you can't get off on that, right? You can't. Like, how does that work? And then the crazy thing about his story, I don't even know how I got into this story. The crazy thing about this story is he's out of jail. He's gonna help people at the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA. He's helping people in the community, right? An undercover cop calls him up. Someone sets him up to do a deal. He's been out of jail for like a year or 2 years, and he does it.
And he does.
And in the documentary, he's pissed off because, man, I can't believe they did that to me. And I'm like, dude,
You were just.
you know what I mean? It's like free will, man.
Right.
It's like
right.
you went to jail. Like, you know what I mean? You went to jail. You're blaming the person that caught you. Yeah, I can't believe they set me up like that. I was just gonna do one. Like, no, you're selling drugs to people. It leads to bad things, man. Like, you agreed, you got caught. Yeah, man, that guy that set me up though, he did. It's like, no. No, you got caught, right? Like,
Just to always shift the blame,
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, but yeah. It's an ironic thing that happens. I don't know how I got into that from fucking social media though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where did I?
I don't know either.
Whenever someone complains about getting caught over something they did, the one thing I think of is, did you guys ever watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air growing up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you remember that one episode where I think Uncle Phil ends up losing his shit in court, and like the media is making fun of him, and he finally loses on the will. He's like, I didn't want to do this, but you did this to yourself. And then he starts singing I'm Telling You by Jennifer Holiday. So every time that someone does something that's like self-sabotaging, all I can think of is Will Smith singing I'm Telling You to this random person, being like, you need to know better about your random shit and take a level of accountability.
You do. It's funny because when you see a situation like that in the documentary, the guy's he's going from one thing to the next of blaming something else, and I'm
blame
like,
game.
yeah, I was just like, geez, man, like you do know what selling crack cocaine and some of these things are leading to people like being horrible lives, right? It's like you don't feel bad about that part. I don't know. Anyways, we got into karma, luck, and free will. Do you believe? Jen, Mary, Karen, Ashley, anyone else? One of the questions you might want to answer if you're curious, or if you want to share, if you're bold enough, is what was your luckiest moment in life to date? What was your luckiest moment to life and date? And like me and Clutch were talking about, it's actually, Clutch said when he got fired from a job specifically. Obviously, in that moment, he wasn't going, oh, thank you so much. The luck struck again.
Right.
By the way, anytime, because I've been fired a couple times, maybe I don't want to share the details, but I've been fired a few times, few times. And each time I got a better job.
See? You just have to, kind of wait and see how
And
it plays
actually-
out.
So what you're saying is people need to be openly incompetent, lose their jobs.
I didn't lose it from being incompetent. I didn't lose it from being incompetent though. But I mean
No, who was it? Or who what's the blame here?
just being immature. And being a young kid. But I needed, looking back, I needed to get fired. A couple of the times I was, I wasn't being a good employee, I guess.
In other words, I was being
You guys want to hear something funny? It's funny because you know Kevin Samuels. Do you know who that is, Clutch? His
I have no
channel's
idea
pretty
who that
popular. Okay, you could look it up. His channel's really popular right now. He's an African American guy that he's very tough on.
Oh, we've talked about him before. Yeah, I know.
And I just saw recently he was interviewed by Vlad TV.
Oh yeah.
You know Vlad TV or DJ Vlad, who he doesn't show his face and he just interviews a lot of hip hop stars. But now he interviews more people than that for sure. And he had Kevin Samuels on, and it was funny because Kevin Samuels is this guy that if you watch him or his channel, he's extremely confident. He's an intelligent guy. He's well spoken, and you know he seems like I said, dare I say, maybe a little bit arrogant in some ways, but very confident, right? And that's part of his persona,
Right.
And he doesn't lose that. And when he talks, and he's almost, in some ways, I'd like to say some of the people he brings on, he talks down to them, you know, and people get a kick out of that. So, but he was getting interviewed, in the first part of this interview, it was a long form interview. The guy's like, all right, so where were you born? Like, he asked him these kind of vulnerable questions, and he was uncomfortable. You could visually see someone's a little bit uncomfortable.
Sure.
And he's someone that kind of is Kevin Samuels.
Right.
Whoa.
He usually has the
Yeah, he's a smooth operator. He's got all this
control.
Yeah, he's got this persona.
Right.
And when these questions came up, you could tell he was visually like, you know, the basic stuff about your child, you know, like how you were born. He was single. He grew up with a single parent. And then the guy's like, so you were married, right? Because he could talk shit about people, you know, relationships and different things.
Right.
And he's very tough on women and different things. And he goes, yes, I was married. Like, he didn't want to go.
Right.
He didn't want to
go deep in that.
The crazy thing is he pries on other people's stuff deeply. And so you could tell, like, DJ Vlad was kind of trying to press him a little bit. And he's like, so you got divorced? And he was like, yeah, it was basically my high school sweetheart. He's like, you had a kid with her though, right? And he's like, yeah, we had a kid. And like, that's where you see him get like a little uncomfortable. He's like, you know, I don't really want to go into that right now. It was my, you know, high school sweetheart. So then he goes, okay, yeah, no problem. And then he goes to the next one. He goes, and then you got married again 3 years later. Right. And so you see him again, kind of like, because this is Kevin Samuels, man. This is the guy that gives advice on.
Right.
This is
the ultra confident
smooth
persona.
Smooth operator.
Yeah.
All the answers, you know, and you wouldn't know. He's been married twice and divorced twice. So, he kind of pries a little bit more. Vlad does, and he goes, so, you know, why'd you guys get divorced? He goes, irreconcilable. Why am I having trouble with that word?
Irreconcilable.
Irreconcilable differences. And he looks at him and he puts his eyebrows up like, stop. You know, like, that's it, man. That's what it was.
Like, I'm drawing the line right there.
Yeah, like, yeah, we're not going to go into my shit.
Yeah.
Even though I slice and dice everyone on my show.
Exactly, yeah. That's so funny.
I'm gonna go on a 30-second rant. I absolutely hate this red pill movement that talks about absolutes. Like, this is what you need to do to get the perfect girl. Like, too many times, these people are talking out of their ass. And it's absolutely detrimental to people's mental health. Too many times when I was coaching, and I'm sure you've had this, Mac, people have come to me absolutely broken, saying, I spent thousands of dollars trying to get my ex back, and these people took them for every dime. Like, without merit, without conscience, without shame. Like, that's just, it's totally effed up. But this is the reality we live in. This is a big industry.
Well, it's catchy
will make
now.
A ton.
Yeah, it's catchy. Yeah. It's new. Like,
people will make money on it.
You know what's funny is I just recently started watching some of it because people are so into it and it's so popular, because I want to be more aware of it, right? Because people before, so I'll watch like some of these other guys, and I'm one of those. I stay as objective and neutral as possible because I'm on YouTube. I have a website. I'm a coach, so I look at it like, if you're going out of your way to flatten other people, mind you, people that on the outside maybe have a bigger viewership, you know, more clients, it makes it look like you're a poor sport in some ways. You know, like, oh, you know, this guy, I don't like when people do that.
Right.
It, you know, like, let me find a way to knock this person down because I'm
build
better.
myself up. And, yeah, it's not.
But I've thought about, B was talking to me about doing some of these reviews of reaction things, and they're useful, right? If someone wants my take on one of these things or something like that. But some of these things that are popular, a lot of it is humiliation. You know, you're choosing someone that's an easy target to, you know, I could easily get on, you know, some of these people that they get on the show that aren't very intelligent on attraction dynamics or something like that, and they're like,
Just
how
like
tall?
yeah.
And then you go, how tall are you? I was like, how much do you weigh? Looks like you need to get in the gym. And everyone's like, And I'm like, God, that's like, that's bad karma, Clutch.
That's just being an asshole, dude. You don't need to associate with karma one way or another. But like,
that it's also one of those things. I mean, it gets people's attention, right? It's people enjoy it. There was one of those channels was the guy was going on about how in some of these guys, right? They're in their, I'm 40 now. They're in like late 40s, early 50s. Some of these guys, and the way they're going to town on like women and different things like that. It's like, and it's all stemmed in really steep generalizations. Men are like this, women are like that. Men want this, women like this. Translation, you want that. Translation, that happened to you, right? It's like all these things are possible. I get where they're coming from, but the idea that it's true to all, the world's too big for that. But but they're creating polarization in their topics, right? You're either with me or against me.
Well, that's the thing. It's tribalism. I mean, like it's a chance for you to be on a team. You know, when people, especially in today's day and age, like they gravitate towards that. You know, like I'm on a team now. You know, so
I'm thinking about starting a team. I don't know the name yet though.
we'll figure
Team
something
Mac.
out. Team Mac.
I don't know. I got to come up with a pill. Huh?
Big Mac. There you go.
I got to come up with a pill. I don't know. Team Right Mac.
Well, like I've talked about this in other, I guess you could say, podcasts that I've done. And like, I'm all for going out there and researching and taking a look at what else is out there. I don't think that giving my take on certain people will be negative in the sense of me saying, look, this is my opinion based on what I'm seeing. But there's 3 big problems I see in YouTube today. The first is that the loudest usually gets all the attention. So like the Matthew Husseys of the world, those kind of people that preach this rhetoric of, you know, being the ultimate extreme and getting the ultimate woman or getting the ultimate man, and this is how you do it. Oftentimes you take a look at their personal lives and they don't have their shit together, or if they do have their shit together, it's in a very superficial sense. So one of the people I don't want to say I dislike him, but you know, he kind of brushes me the wrong way is Corey Wayne. But one of the things that he said that I agree with is, you know, take advice from the people living the life you want. And this is where YouTube has kind of given that false narrative. It's very easy for someone to put themselves in front of a camera and give this perspective of being successful. Like I've met many people, hell, like you and I have talked about this, Mac, where my ex was a dating coach. And what she says in front of the camera versus how she is in real life are 2 very different things. It's not to say that people can't be authentic. Mac, the reason I come on your channel and talk is you and I have spoken enough times. I think you and I have opened up to each other. I sense a level of legitimacy and authenticity from you. And I think that's rare. But the downside to that is that it's not marketable anymore. It's a case of, you know, the person that gets marketed is the person that preaches all this success.
Let's just start tearing people down, you know? Let's just...
Well, I don't mean that in a personal term. I mean it in the sense that...
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, what's profitable is this image of success. And even people that go down the realm of intellectualism, you know exactly who I'm talking about, Mac. People that claim to have a degree that don't know shit. and tell people advice. And rather than say, this is my perspective, do your own research, they state it as an absolute.
Yeah.
God knows how many people have gone down a path of massive depression and, God forbid, attempted suicide as a result of these people's actions. There has to be a level of legitimacy associated to these people. You people watching here today have an ability to listen to each one of us. Hell, there was a guy on here who said, "Oh, it's the guy talking about Buddhism. I'm out," and he basically left. Listen, that's your choice.
Your choice.
You're perfectly welcome to stay or go. If you don't like what I have to say, God bless you and be on your way. But at least make that choice.
Yeah.
Don't take this red pill crap or whatever is being pushed your narrative. This is what a man should act like in order to get the perfect woman. Bitch, if I wanted to know how to get the perfect woman, I would work on myself. And that's what you should be doing, each and every one of you.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. When someone goes, it always gets me when someone goes, well, I'm with a 10, I'm with a 9. Well, says who, you?
Well, yeah.
You got pictures?
Well, I took my physical analysis and
You know what no, but I mean, it's common, right? Like, 'cause I mean, we all have different types. We all have different things we're attracted to.
So what's
and
your
I mean, I've seen people on YouTube like, yeah, this is my girlfriend. I'm like, don't think she's that hot, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're like, it's a 9 or a 10, or she's a 9 or a 10 or whatever.
Like, look how I got this.
Yeah.
But
who
who am I to say?
Right.
who says that? Like, it's just like, I go to a party and I'll be like, oh, this is my girlfriend. She's a 10. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you, man?
But I've seen the one that gets me on YouTube where I'm like, God, don't people think this is staged when some guy goes, yeah, watch me in a crowd do pickup lines? Have you ever seen some of these where they have like a hidden camera?
Oh, and
the guy, like, the girl's not shown, but she's got like, an hourglass figure or something like that. Or even she doesn't look that, like one of them I saw a couple days ago, like the girl had like camo pants on, which is an immediate turn off for me. If a girl wears camo pants,
you're not in.
Yeah, there's just some
out.
Things where I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. Yeah. So
when we go on a double date in California, I'm making sure my girl wears camo pants.
just so there's
I don't like camo at all.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're going hunting. No.
Yeah. Mac, I found the perfect girl for you. Get down here. You have to wear camo pants. I'm like, this is the ultimate test of karma.
But like when they're showing that, like, oh, and then I asked her this and then I did this, I'm like, how do I know that this wasn't staged? You know what I mean? And
you don't.
And actually when you hear someone make small talk or pick up on someone, it's not that impressive. It's not that entertaining. But getting back to what you said, Clutch, I've had people tell me that before numerous times, that being down to earth and authentic, numerous times, not just you. I appreciate the compliment, by the way. And they're like, but it's not marketable. So that's how it's a long game for me. It's gonna take like in year 10, people are gonna be like, oh, great, Matt, congratulations, your channel just hit 20,000 subscribers, dude. Great, we've been waiting. Yeah, we've been waiting for it. You never, you never went out of your way to become a peacock, you know. So it's like.
Well, this is the concept of karma, right? Like, do you want to grow a business and do it in a legitimate way, or do you want to be profitable?
Right.
And it's just the case is, look, most people go for the profit means, and you know what? If that's what they want, if that's what they go for, so be it. I'm not judging that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you're not seeing the repercussions of everything you do. Like, Jen here is saying, oh, Matthew Hussey's a fucking joke, but he's attractive, so he gets success with women. Well, maybe so.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe so. But for every piece of advice he gives, he hurts people. Like, how can you go to bed at night knowing fully well you have shattered a person's chance from getting back together with someone when they could have easily reconciled without this rhetoric of, acting alpha or acting macho or acting a certain way? Like,
I haven't watched a lot of his stuff. Is he like that? He doesn't seem like an alpha type guy. Is that what he pushes?
He pushes this concept of being socially grounded and minding your space, and it's basically a mutation of the PUA narrative.
I think that it's a mutation.
It honestly is. This is where the most of the dating advice comes from. I'm not saying that doesn't have some merit to it. Like, I've dated women using the techniques I learned in my time as a pickup artist. But there's another element, which is it's only good for attracting people. keeping people is something completely different. It's a completely different monster. And if you have some underlying issues you haven't addressed, guess what's coming out after 100 days?
Well, I think that the thing is how people are packaging, how should I say, simple material or things that, it's like self-improvement. I've gotten to a point, I've read self-improvement books.
Right.
And at a time they were timely for me, and I was late in life with self-improvement. It was like in my 30s, right? And I binged on it, and I sucked everything out of that juice, and it's done. It's like every book that I read on self-improvement now is pretty much
you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, you're pretty much whatever, like, I know that one already, dude. Yeah, I know about the purpose. Sometimes it'll be reframed in a way that's interesting,
right?
But I just went, like pretty much. That's why I do think I'm starting to lean more towards find like a top, and I've heard some other people talk about this before. Find like a top 10 books, and I wouldn't say you have to read them all the time, but review those books more regularly rather than maybe go to so many different ones, because some people are getting paralyzed by the paradox of choice.
There's so much out there.
Yeah, and what I would say is, going back to what you're talking about, Clutch, when what's happening with these, what people don't realize is any of this stuff. Recently, I was just talking to a client, and she's got a lot of knowledge on psychology, and I respect that. And so she was like, "Are you an introvert or an extrovert?" And like, introvert and extroverts have like 16 degrees of it. Did you know that?
Yeah, like the different.
Right. And I was like, did you ever think to yourself though that that was invented by a person?
The different
extrovert, introvert.
Oh, yeah.
It's a theory that was invented. So it's one of those things. It's chosen. It's just like karma or luck. You can believe in it or not believe in it. It's not factual. So, but I like Clutch and I could come up with a new version of personality types and put a label on it.
Yeah.
Now, if these labels and different things work for you, it's fine. It's fine. I don't mind. But the problem is now people want to fall under labels and then not be intricately themselves.
Like,
So like
I'm in this little box, so I'm gonna be this way.
Well, like a classic one is when I have a client that's a really nice guy. He's really nice, and he knows it. And he's battling the same problems with women over and over again. But guess what? That's that client compared to the other client that's a nice guy. They're a little different. They're not the same animal.
Right.
So when I talk to them, I might talk to them a little differently. But also at the same time, I'm also not saying, "Oh, you got to change your whole persona, man." That's not going to work. You got to work with what you are. Go ahead.
Well, you remember you and I talked about this where people called me a geek last time. I said there's a very big difference between being a geek and being a pushover. I'm a geek. You know, I have an element of, I like video games. I like my technical stuff. Like, I find a hobby in it. And like one of my exes, God bless her soul, basically told me, you know what your problem is? You like too many video games. And I just looked at her and said, yeah, God forbid I have a real problem like alcohol or drugs. There's an element of how you measure things.
Sure.
But everyone's different. And the idea is being your best self is about being comfortable in your shoes. It doesn't necessarily have to be, quote, physical. But it has to be an element of, look, I have my hobbies, I have my guidelines, and using this thing that we call experience, and we can go out and search information, thankfully, we can start bettering ourselves. Like, the thing I read more than anything is articles. I don't like reading books anymore. So I'll read an article like, study says this. Oh, what's the case study say? What's the conclusion? What are their narratives? What's their hypothesis? I come to my own conclusions. And that's the benefit of the internet today is information is out there. The problem is that people are going after the easy shortcut. That's what needs to change.
Petty Betty says, I don't even know about introvert, extrovert till I went to this channel. I learned a lot from this channel. Wow. Introvert and extrovert. It's just one of those things now that there's so many of these different labels or subgroups. People just need to be careful that they're not grabbing it. And
Petty Betty also seems to have a thing for Matthew Hussey, so be careful what she says.
No problem there.
She just said looks, though.
She likes his accent. Matthew, who says a joke has meant Has a man ever struggled? Has this man ever struggled? No way. I'm sure he has women throwing themselves at him. It's easy to have confidence when you have been successful in a situation. He has a very disposable mentality. Let's see. Let me just check on the live stream roll.
Yeah, it's essentially just a dismissive notion of like relationships. If a girl leaves you, just let her, and it's just there's no empathy involved. There's no association with when people break up. Yeah. It's literally a physical injury to your brain that needs to recover and needs to heal. And a lot of these gurus are popping up now saying, you know, when she leaves you, let her, and, you know, just move on.
Just easy like that, no problem.
Yeah. Never in my life have I ever seen that work for anyone. Because for the people that it would work with, they don't go on YouTube looking for answers. They move on. The people that are on YouTube are the people that are hurt, that are looking for guidance. And if you just come to them and say, just move on, what good is that going to do?
Oh, yeah, well, it's a simple answer.
Just move on. Next question.
Jocko Willnick.
Yeah,
move on. Yeah. I know it's going to be hard, but move on.
Oh, you got to do it with the accent.
You're a seal. You're a seal too. Move on.
Sweetie, you're a beautiful girl. I want you to know that my accent and my pretentious sense of self will allow you to believe that you're going to be okay, at least in the short term.
It's definitely different for different people. When you do what I do and you talk to people with their stories,
as many people as you talk to,
it's always different. It's always, and it'll be a similar narrative, but your perspective is going to be different.
Sure.
And then the characters involved, right?
Right.
You'll be. It's like a play that's going on, right? It's like in the background, someone will go, and her father's a nutcase. Okay, let's throw that in there.
Let's throw that one.
Also, she's got her sister still living with her, who's this, and this, and like, well, that doesn't help. You know, it's like there's all different parts to the story, and then when you start talking about it, it's like this is a way for someone to get clarity because it's not as simple as I miss her, I want to be with
like
her.
Like you said, when you unpack it, and it just.
You want to know what the funny thing is, Mac? I've had my coaching practice, or at least my past experience, seep into my professional life. So like today I had a girl who was just bitching at work, and she says, I'm having a really rough day. So-and-so screwed me over. And I went to her desk and I said, hey, let's go for a walk. And we went for a walk around the building, and I let her vent. And then at the end, she was just like, wait, why did we go outside? And I said, oh, because I wanted to remove you from the situation, get you out of that mental state. And I just started explaining to her how to deal with traumas. And all of a sudden she's like, wait, how do you know all this? And I just had to stop and be like, I've studied psychology at some point.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, right? So when I started this, and how long ago did you start doing it, Clutch? Like coaching people, actually?
Actually, it was around this time last year that I started. And it lasted until about February or January of this year.
Yeah, no, I've even talking to people. Modern Shrink just came on. Big shout out to Modern Shrink here.
What's up, Modern Shrink?
Always like your take. So, and Modern Shrink is actually a real shrink, or so they. I'm just gonna give you the benefit of the doubt based on the name. Call me naive.
See, I'm imagining Modern Shrink being like a 3-inch tall man as a cartoon, being like, "What I am hearing today
it's a
is
female.
that you are frustrated."
Marriage,
female.
Marriage,
okay. I stand corrected. A 3-inch female.
Marriage counselor, certified. Did all that practice and practices now. So, but what I was gonna say is that if I would have went to university and said like, oh, let me get a grad degree in marriage counseling or something like that. I don't know. You know, there's a variety of things you could pick. I would say that they'd probably give me books and different tests to do that I could probably get online, which is okay. Keep in mind, I'm a teacher, so I'm not anti-school. Because there's a lot of people out there. So like I can explain that to Masculine Energy that came on a while ago, Kyle, which is his real name. He's also Canadian. He was like, I really wanted, because he's kind of, kind of anti-college and this because he didn't go. And so I remember he wanted to get my take on that. And I came back and he was like, okay, that's a pretty good answer, actually. I'm like, school gives you structure.
It's structure.
It gives you structure. It gives you a schedule. It gives you a finish line. Along the way, you don't need it to be an entrepreneur. You don't need it to do a lot of things, but it serves its purpose. You do know what you're going to do along the way. Hopefully you get a couple teachers that really change some outlooks for you. And by the way, you're going to get some that you don't like and aren't good, but that's part of life too. And
you're there with a lot of like-minded people, so hopefully you have contacts.
That's the other thing. So I explained this all to him. So I'm like, it's not just college is a waste.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like the people that have been successful, oh, it's just a waste because it's expensive. It's like, no, it's not. But it depends on what you go to school for and all these other variables. But the structure and the finish line and the certainty, if you do this, this, and this, will give you this degree.
Right.
And that degree counts for something. Whether that's still counting for the same thing in the real world now, that could be debated. But going back to if I would have went back to school, which was something I thought about doing, instead of just taking people on and going, hey, I'm gonna take people's stories and start talking to them directly. The experience that I've gotten from this, oh my goodness! I think that talking to all these different people and getting their feedback and dealing with them. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is what you'd learn over time if you were practicing being a coach. So, and then just being able to communicate with people and understanding and listening better. And then in the meantime, watching YouTube videos and different things on listening better. And then, you know, what I did is I've gone to other people and someone like Clutch or someone like Kyle, and I'll have long conversations with them. I'll have long conversations that aren't like, oh, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
It's like, oh, let's talk about how you talk to someone.
Right. People that are in the same business, doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm interested.
And sharing, you know.
Or I'll share a problem that I have with you, and I want to know how you'd give advice.
Right.
And to me, that's how you learn from it
and grow
and not have a textbook to go on. And I think that's a good thing. And that's what you're saying is all the people you probably dealt with in the last year, you've probably become a better listener, I would guess, and probably a little bit more compassionate and patient. And you're like, all right, I know where this person's kind of coming from and how to communicate with them. So.
It depends on the context. If they come to me and say, Clutch, I can't date this girl who wears camo pants, I'll be like, dude, it's time to grow up.
You love that one, huh?
I'm gonna use that for you. I'm definitely gonna pull a prank on you someday over that one.
Oh goodness. Yeah, camo pants. No thank you. I'll pass on that. Isn't there, for whoever's on here right now, isn't there some things that you're like, oh yeah, that is a big turnoff, or like that's a big no for me or something? There's got to be some things for people out there where they've had a date before, they went out and they're like, yeah, they had a nose ring. Someone, it's like someone else would be like, what? You don't like nose rings? Not really. Not someone I'm dating. So you never know. Chuckster just said some effort gave you a thumbs down. It's okay, Chuckster. Thanks for being the pit bull at the gate, but I'm okay with it. Modern Shrink 5'2" female therapist. Okay, that's good.
It was off by about 5 feet.
Yeah.
I'll take it as a win.
Oh my God. Is that Matthew Hussey? I don't know what that's in regards to. You're right, Clutch. The brain cannot differentiate the difference between physical and emotional pain. Is that true?
Yep. Yep. Well, you have to keep in mind it's your defense mechanism. So your brain's going to actively tell you, hey, you need to reunite with your tribe, otherwise you're screwed. You might as well be dead in 10,000 years ago. Modern times, you'll just be really depressed and might have to eat a tub or two of ice cream, but you'll be fine.
MC, hi, I've turned into the stream too late and have to watch a repeat, but enjoying the last few minutes, liking the vibe. No worries. What else is here? Pioneer Caddy, haven't seen you in a long time. How you doing, bud? Crystal Rudez. There's the blue, there's this red, there's a black pill movement. The community's out there. There's a black pill too? I don't even know.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be like Captain Planet. Without powers combined, we'll be a decent human being.
If I had my own tribe, though, I've thought about this before, and I've shared this with people before, but I haven't gone public with it. So for those people that are still on at 1 hour and 58 minutes, this is the gold nugget right now. if I had to start a new like social media platform, I would call it. I shouldn't give it away. I'm not going to give it the name, but I would keep it where you'd only have groups of 150 people.
Max.
That's it.
Max.
That's it.
What is this, a cult?
No, it's called. Have you ever heard of Dunbar's Law?
Yes, I have, actually.
Okay, so Dunbar's Law of 150 to 200 people. So 150 people, that's the only amount of people that you can actually interact with within a group. And I would say that, what if you just had one social media platform and you only could have 150 people within your group?
That you could communicate.
And I often think about how communicative my live stream is. I kind of have like a very small group that comes on regularly. But you go, if you had 150 where you actually know each person.
You'd be way more intimate with these people.
Not like you know them so well, but
but
like
you have more of a
Yeah. And we're a group like where you go, okay, Clutch knows about data. This I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher it, but data management. I could ask Clutch a question, or like you could actually interact with your group rather than have 3,000 friends that you put like, hey, I just had an avocado toast and green smoothie. Ha ha ha. There's the beach. Right.
There's always this California stereotype of avocado on everything.
We actually have it a lot here now.
There is a lot.
Yeah. Where I live in Phuket is kind of a parts of it are hootsy tootsy, as my mom would call it. It's kind of hootsy tootsy. But yeah, I would make it like 150, and I think that would be where you'd actually go into the group and know each other, and then it would be nice if you actually supported each other and helped each other out. Where it would be more, it's more of a group where you're helping each other, where you're not like, yeah, that's my friend. I knew him in high school 25 years ago. And we, it's just way too passive now.
And am I allowed to start placing wagers on how long until the society starts interfighting one another?
Well, I thought about it, Clutch. I thought about it, bud. And I thought if you did this, you'd have a chief, you'd have like a VP, a treasurer, like someone involved in the group, because it needs that to be a real group, actually.
So you're only allowed in this group,
but you can leave the group.
You can go to a different group.
You can leave the
group.
I
thought you were heading in the direction of the Greeks, where like every year you vote someone off the island.
It would be a much more interesting thing, I think, than what we do now, which is scale as many people as you can in everything, and then you just put all the rules that bother people now, like right now.
Thou shall not wear camo pants.
He loves that one. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, Clutch. Tell the truth, Clutch. If you went out on a date in LA and the girl showed up in camo pants, would you be like, oh God? Or would you go, yeah, I did a little time in the Canadian Mounties?
Kitty Mounties?
Well, they're
dude,
like
that's the police. Dude. What are you talking about? Honestly, if I went on a date with a girl with camo pants, I'd be like, why would you wear those? I can't even see your figure. I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Well, there's tight camo pants.
Yeah, you could wear tight pants.
There's I think there's yoga pants that are probably camo. I don't like cheetah print either. I just find it cheap and tacky. Cheetah print just bugs me. Anything cheetah print, I'm like, really? You had to go there?
Well, I think the women that you're seeking are a bit older than the women I'm seeking now.
You like cheetah print? Okay.
I can't say I've ever been with a girl that wore cheetah pants.
Really?
No disrespect to the women on the live stream who wear cheetah pants, but yeah, I've never had a woman wear cheetah pants around me. At least not one I dated.
The line I would usually use is, how many animals had to die for that? Right. I've used that one many times too. Someone has like a girl has like a furry purse. How many rabbits died for that? And they'll go, what? What do you mean?
You go on a first date and hit her with a bucket of paint. Be like, you monster.
How many animals had to die for that bag? It's not real. It's not real. Oh, come on. Tell the truth. Right? I know rabbit when I see it.
I know real rabbit.
One of my exes was a vegan, and she used to lecture me on me eating meat. She's like, you know how many animals had to die for that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, do you know how many animals have been displaced because of all that soy you're consuming?
Well, that's a good point.
She
Yeah.
shut up pretty quickly.
Ariel Jones jumps in and says, "Oh, I like it." See, there's cheetah print is liked. It is. There are women that like it, and I've come across it. And
Mac, Rule 34.
Huh?
Rule 34. That's all I got to say about that. Do you know what Rule 34 is?
What?
It's a meme, but it's the inherent belief of if it exists, there's porn on it.
What?
Yeah, you've never heard of Rule 34?
No.
What is this, the black web or something? Or the dark web?
No, it's
Is this
just
the dark web you're talking about?
No, it's just the rule of the internet.
The
If
rule-
you
it's the
think
rule-
it,
okay.
there's probably porn on it. Doesn't matter what it is. If it exists, there
Oh, like
has
a
to be porn on
category.
it.
Like a category.
Oh.
A category, place, or thing.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a camo pants scene. Is
Dude,
that what you're
I
talking
guarantee
Got it,
there
okay.
is going to be camo pants somewhere. Like
That's your fetish, the camo.
I will put money on it that it exists.
And then if we had enough people on the live stream, they'd be like, "Let me send you a link, dude."
I've already checked it out.
Because you
We
know-
got
Go
it.
beds now.
Hey, if we had 150 people in a tribe or a group, like I said,
Yeah.
and like you said, like you do this live stream, you have this group and regular thing, and you'd have one person in the group, you'd be like, "Oh, go to Todd, he knows all about that." Todd will be able to tell us the
He'll hook you
camo
up.
print porn. There's always an expert out of 150 for sure.
Yeah, dude. It exists.
But at least it's only one
Don't
expert.
ask me how I know.
Eve says you're all going to hell for this camo pants, but it's hilarious. There's just some things that are a massive turnoff, and people are different with it.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, if you dress military or you go camo, and
you dress
it's not for paintball or hunting. No.
Then it's
it's for
it's
it's
out.
just for sporty to look sporty. No.
Take me too.
I would have replied for every animal you don't eat, I'll eat 3. Good for you, Ariel. That's confidence. Wow.
Yeah.
Ariel Jones, welcome. I don't think I've seen you on the channel before. Maybe you can join our 150 strong.
be in the
initial-
group.
You can be in charge of the butchering of the animals.
Yeah. Our initial fee we've been talking about.
Dude, are you sure you're not founding a cult? I might have to distance myself.
It just kind of sounds like it.
It's like it's not a cult clutch. All you have to do is buy into my belief structure, pay me a yearly subscription, not question me in any way, shape, or form, and occasionally sleep with me if I ask you.
And under no circumstances are anyone in the group of female to wear camo pants at any given time if they're reported.
Or
This is
cheetah
where
print.
Coach Mac jumps on and says, "For any woman that wears camo pants, I will give 125% hourly rate."
Have you ever, like talking about it though, have you ever not just dated, but you start seeing someone that ends up being your girlfriend, so you're seeing each other, right? But you're still getting to know each other. It's that time where it's
Still
the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, you're still learning. Yeah.
But then they do something, and you're like, oh man, you ruined it.
What? I
Like-
had all this perfect
You're
vibe going,
like,
and then
like everything's been going great, and then a lot
Something
of times
I don't
it-
like, you did.
and they wear something, and you're like, oh, you dress like that.
I didn't see that before.
I've never had camo pants before, but I've had times where
something. What was the? Do you remember? What they did
I'd
that
say
you didn't like?
I'd say one that has bugged me more than once is just way too much makeup.
So they initially didn't wear a lot, and then
I remember one time we were going to like a baseball game, and it ended up being my girlfriend. But I remember being like,
a baseball game.
well,
Like,
the
you know?
baseball game's the sun's out, right? And it was just caked, on to a point where you could see the line.
Oh, like you could tell the
Right, and then,
difference.
and then in the sun, I was just like, God, you don't need to do that, You,
especially to a baseball game too. It's like
yeah,
all right.
it's I'd say overdoing the makeup is a big one. I don't know. There's been a couple other things probably. Oh, Burn, go ahead.
I was gonna say we call that a glass shattering moment, where they do
Glass
something
shattering, yeah.
that forever tarnishes their image.
It went forever.
No, but you just yeah.
Well,
You
I had that
recognize
moment
it.
too. There was this one girl I dated, prime girl, young, attractive, worked for Victoria's Secret, so she constantly wore lingerie. My cup of tea. And then one day, basically, we were out buying groceries, and I think it was at Walmart, and she says, oh, I want to get a sleeping gown. I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And she gets like this oversized t-shirt that's obviously meant for someone that's like 300 pounds. And basically says, oh, but it's so comfy. And I said, I've never been so unattracted to you as much as I am right now.
You can
and
only wear lingerie.
The shirt. She bought the shirt and she wore it. And I was just like, and thinking in my head, I'm like, this looks hideous. Like, why would you wear this?
To sleep in or to wear out to?
No, just probably to sleep, right?
in.
Yeah, to sleep.
To sleep in.
Well, where you had me that you were shopping at Walmart. That's where I went. Oh yeah, pick something out.
Like I was thinking,
you know things are wrong when you go to Walmart and your girlfriend's like, "Yeah, I want to buy some clothes here." Okay.
Top 10 reasons people break up. They go to Walmart. Right?
Well,
she worked at Victoria's Secret, but she's like, she liked the lingerie better at Walmart. Red flag number 1.
Oh,
Clutch is like, it's a lot cheaper. Did you want to pick out a few things? Sure, hon, no problem. Oh wow, that's what you wanted.
Wait, why am I being the cheap ass here?
I think the other one I had, this is bad, but I've said it before, but the one that surprised me the most is my this ended up being a girlfriend too, but we were just started seeing each other regularly. Woke up in the morning and she basically had no eyebrows.
Like she painted on.
Yeah, she
had the paint on eyebrows.
And I just was like, holy shit. And the sun was through the window. Yeah, I was just like, what happened? Because I was oblivious,
you
dude.
were like,
I've never seen that before.
Mac, that must have been one awkward money shot, huh?
Oh, come on. It was just a wake up in the morning and I went, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that, that was that was there. Okay. It's okay. Ended up being my girlfriend.
Jen took offense to your comment on Walmart, by the way.
I'm sorry, Jen. Jen, to be honest, I've bought t-shirts at Walmart too. We're just going overboard on this. I'm sorry. But when he told me he bought like,
we were thinking lingerie.
Yeah, when you're like, oh yeah, go pick up something nice. You work at Victoria's Secret, you probably have good taste.
I figure she's gonna get a sleeping gown or something like that. I didn't expect her to buy
sleeping
a t-shirt
gown
that's
doesn't
meant.
Sound good either.
Yeah, I'm expecting her. I don't mind expecting her to buy a t-shirt that's meant for someone that's like 300 or 400 pounds, dude. It's like, it was so loose on her that like the neck got down to her chest. And she didn't have a small chest by any stretch of the word.
Translation,
So
I just want to be comfortable now that we're together long term.
Yeah.
It was essentially the shit test that broke us. Because I was just like,
And Clutch is like, you can only wear Victoria's Secret, lingerie when you're around me. That is it.
It's exactly, Clutch, that's exactly my point when I talk to people and I go, you go that scale of 1 to 10. I tell people to get a quick read. 1 to 10, what's your attraction? 1 to 10, what's your chemistry or connection? 1 to 10, what's your trust? And the funny thing about attraction, I always tell people, if you live together, it's fleeting because people change what they wear, how they act, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that's really unattractive. 24 hours in a day, it's hard to be looking good all the time, right?
Or at least, like you said, there's ups and downs.
Yeah,
it's
man.
It's not never just like constant.
Yeah, it's like I told you before. I don't know if it was Clutch was on here, but a buddy of mine, I never forgot. He said, he goes, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen his girlfriend's name. I won't say it. He goes, I've never seen her go to the bathroom to take a crap, and I was just like, what? In 5 years? I'm
5 years?
Yeah, like in 5 years. He goes,
crazy.
no, I've never had her walk out of the bathroom and it stunk or something like that. I'm like, wow. Well, good luck finding one of those again.
The unicorn does exist.
Yeah.
I didn't even think she took craps, man. Oh, wow, bro. Yeah, you're really up in the clouds, aren't you? It's like, geez.
Maybe it was the camo pants. She was being very discreet.
But it was one of those things when
I'm overdoing that joke.
It was one of those things like post breakup where you pedestal your ex, and I was like, wow, that's a pretty big one to throw in there. She was so great. I never witnessed an after bathroom crap scent. I was just like, wow. That takes the cake, man. Wow, you're gonna have trouble with that one. That's gonna be tough in the future, man. I don't know if you can find another one of those.
Just be single for a long time,
or you can just designate like, hey, hon, just so you know, I'm really sensitive with my nose. So if you can just keep it to about an hour to 2 hours before I get home.
Schedule it out.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. This is one that she said. Turn off. Crystal wrote stretchers, ears, and those who wear sandals when it's not necessary. I wear flip flops quite a bit myself. Living in San Diego for a long time and living
here, Thailand.
Don't tell me you're a guy that wears flip flops and socks. Please don't tell me you're
Hell
one of
no.
those.
That's okay. That's got to be one. That's
No, I would say
pretty universal.
I would say I called a friend out on this before. He was in his early 50s, and he's a pretty cool dude and everything like that. And I forgot what he was saying. He's going on, and he had Velcro sandals.
Oh, the ones that kind of go up a
Yeah,
little.
and I'm like, dude, you get no fashion points when you wear Velcro sandals. I go, it's just geriatrics. And he's just like, he just looked at me like dumbfounded. And they're really comfortable. I'm like, I hope so.
What other purpose would
you
they?
can't wear. Yeah, I was like, that's one of those ones where, I mean, women out there, I don't know if they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I mean, you're better off with Birkenstocks or something. But going with Velcro sandals over the top, adjustable clutches, like I got a pair.
I'm not saying I got a pair, but the one shoe I was obsessed over and I still can't get are the Nike Fly Easy Goes. Do you even see those? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know shoes that well to know their names.
The Nike Fly Ease Goes are the ones that you can kind of step into them and they come apart so you don't have to bend over.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's a slip-on then?
Oh yeah.
It's not quite a slip-on. I'll send you a link to it. The people that know what I'm talking about know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's such an interesting shoe. But it's sold out everywhere because the scalpers have bought up the entire supply because we live in a pandemic with people that have too much time and have an overzealous level of entrepreneurism that isn't sustainable.
It would be great if
those are weird looking.
If this live stream podcast was a little more popular, we could plug some of these items, huh? We could go, hey, you could pick this up at Amazon if you want. Okay.
According to my survey, most of you will want this.
Yeah. Okay. There's a colorful pair there. That's an interesting looking shoe.
Oh, you're taking a look at it now?
$330?
Yeah, that's the scalper price.
That's
ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
There's something.
Retail's about $120. I'm not paying scalper prices. Screw that.
I can get 3 hours of coaching with myself. Come on, man.
Come on, ladies. You know
better
you
yourself.
Ariel Jones says, "Oh my God, I won't even burp in front of my boyfriend." Wow. Let it out, hon. Just let it out. See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Checking out for the night, coach. See you all later. Got to hit the hay. Right on. Someone wearing pajamas is a huge turn off.
Pajamas?
Any
like
kind of
the full
pajamas? I don't wear pajamas. I haven't done that before.
That's actually pretty popular here in Thailand.
Yeah. Yeah,
wearing pajamas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think, but like you go out to like 7-Eleven at late at night and there'll be tons of people in pajamas.
Yep.
What are they, like silk pajamas?
Sometimes,
like, oh,
yeah, it could be silk pajamas, could be like little kids looking ones. Yeah.
Yep.
No, man. Not to be too visual, I sleep in the buff. I don't care.
It's confidence.
Yeah.
I always look at a man's fingernails. He has to have nails. Oh, because compared to biting nails, isn't it interesting?
Oh, that's gross. That's gross.
It's a lot of people
that.
bite their
Habit,
nails.
it's
Well,
just-
there's some people that don't cut their nails too, right?
And just let them go and
Yeah.
get all dirty and
There's so many little things for men and women that are turnoffs that you think everyone else signs up for.
Yeah, but
we
they're
all
just
have different things.
True.
We
But
all
I mean,
have,
that one's, cut your nails or like, keep them at least a little bit. Come on, man.
How about the long pinky nail?
Like the coke nail?
Yeah,
They call
I've
it
had
coke
students in
Isn't-
college where I'm like,
isn't it
dude, what are you
always-
doing
Isn't it
with
always
that?
woodwork people or like musicians that have that long fingernail
Okay.
at the end?
Oh yeah, just because yeah. I was gonna say like woodworking people have like nasty nails or something, but I would accept that if you're like in a position or you have a hobby that's fine. But if you're just a normal person, cut those nails, man.
I mean, you can imagine his wife's not very happy with the medical bill after all those yeast infections, but
that's gross, dude. All right, Clutch, come on, man. Hey,
man, clean your fucking fingers.
Man, anything else anyone wants to add after that? Clutch ruined it. Oh my goodness.
My sense of humor is practical. Okay.
Party nail.
Party
It's
nail.
the party nail. That's the Coke nail. That long one.
Chuckster, what you want to throw in one thing that really turns you off? MC, Crystal, Rudez, people that stutter, maybe.
Dude, that's gonna suck if someone actually comes on here who does stutter.
I know.
That's karma right there if that starts happening.
I used to have one of my really good friends and college roommates. One of his best friends that would visit when we lived in San Diego. So we had a cool place near the beach, so people would want to stay there and stuff. And this guy had he was in his early 20s, and it wasn't just a stutter; it was bad. It was like
you can't even communicate.
He would get stuck rather than even stutter. And so at the time, because you like video games, Clutch, we would play Madden. And Madden's one of the classic games where you can play each other and kind of talk shit. I'm sure there's other games, but that was
NHL 93, my friend.
Right?
Yeah, sports game. We'll go sports
But you
games.
talk-
but Madden. For
and
sure.
it was just not fair because you talk shit to this guy.
He had no
it was
he had
not
no toy, he had no
fair. It wasn't
comeback.
even fair. No, he would come back, but it would take him like 10 minutes.
I mean, if he beats you.
Yeah.
Listen, you're just guys, so you're just talking shit, right? Like this is 20 years ago. This is how old, like 20 years ago or 18 years ago, where it's like not so politically correct, right? And everything. You're guys. You talk shit. You take cheap shots. You know what I mean? You say different things, and so you'd be playing the game and you'd be talking shit, and he'd be like, and you'd be like, what? And he, but the cool thing about him, he knew it and he owned it.
Right. He wasn't hiding.
I think with something like that, if you have if someone's your buddy, like your friend, and you're cool with them, then you're allowed to tease them.
Sure.
You're allowed to tease them. But you don't make a fool out of people in public.
No, it's like
just
you're
you
more
and
like
your
a group,
friends.
for sure. Like exactly.
It's just you and your
No,
buddies.
with
Go ahead.
boys, men in particular, get along by insulting each other. Women don't get along by complimenting each other. So
no, but
it's
that's
just
more
a
of
case
their like, I'm gonna get you. Instead of physical violence, they're like, no, I'm getting
Like
at your
I said,
appearance.
so
or
when I say
whatever.
he was when I say he was stuttering, he was a good sport about it. Like he knew, and he would talk shit too.
Yeah.
But it was like the first time I met him, I'm like, oh man, this is because I'm quick.
So if it takes him 10
I'm
minutes,
already quick.
Well, I can imagine that your buddy said during all that shit talking, it took me less time to beat you than it took for my stutter to finish the sentence.
So it was just fun though. But like I said, I think the line gets drawn for men when if you're in a new group or you're around women or like then you don't make fun of your friends like to make a fool out of them. But in a closed setting where you're all buddies,
but that
it's
makes you even
totally
more.
okay.
That makes you even more like tight knit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have some more turnoffs coming in.
I heard Harry back. What I see, Harry
MC
back.
says Harry back. I remember a guy I used to work with in real estate that was in his 20s was really excited that he had would it be called electrolysis when you get that removed from your it's called something like
What?
he got it he got the hair removed from his back not surgically but
laser
laser
like
removal
laser,
yeah. Electrolysis. Where did that come from?
It could. I don't know that it could be.
Yeah, he was really excited. I'm like, Jesus, man, really? It was really expensive. So he got his whole back done. I was like, wow. I guess that's something that your girlfriend didn't like. You know, I'm sure there's women out there that like a playing
hair.
field. I don't know. Peppercorn is a turnoff.
No, she's doing the stutter. She's doing the
Okay,
stutter.
I got that late. Singing in the car and taking it way too seriously. Chuckster. No, that's funny.
And it's it's bad.
That's funny
Yeah.
because I've had that before, and I was like, I remember a girlfriend. I'm like, you're a really bad singer, and she was like, that's so messed up.
And she just doesn't know. She's totally oblivious. Yeah.
She's so beautiful that no one's told her she's tone deaf up until now.
She's gotten away with it.
Mind you, when I say that, I'm not a good singer. I don't have rhythm at all. So you could make fun of me in the same way. I just don't sing. it's like
you just don't.
There's a friend of mine that always has dinner parties, and he's always like he takes out his guitar. All right, come on, guys.
I thought that was going in a separate direction, man. He always takes it out. I'm like, what?
No, he takes out his guitar, he takes out his computer, and it's like karaoke, and he's like, come on, and I'm always like, I don't sing. Oh, everyone sings, man. I don't really sing. Well, what songs do you like? And I'm like, well, I like this song. Oh, I got it right here. It's ready for you. I'm like, I'm not singing. I'm not going to sing.
You should tell him some like hard metal shit.
Yeah, I go. It's pretty much limited at happy birthday, and I go, it's not your birthday, bud. A person who doesn't maintain themselves down there is a huge turnoff. A mouthful of hair isn't cute. Excuse me if my comments are too much. No, it's crystal clear what you're talking about, and I would say that noted.
Noted.
Yeah. I would say that I would definitely check before you end up with a mouthful of hair. I would be preventive on that.
Don't just
You have to be a
just
little
don't go blind,
before
you
you
know.
get
That's when you need a red light in the room, so you don't ruin the mood. You just but you have some visual.
You're not caught off guard.
You got to have a visual in there. Red lights are. I've been using those since college, man. Red light bulbs are huge.
What else we got?
Oh, he said the Madden Hail Mary win is the best shit.
Oh,
talking
yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
I loved playing Madden with
Was
friends.
great. Oh yeah.
You could talk some shit. Yeah, for sure.
Do you remember Blitz?
Blitz is an old one.
That was good too, though.
Yeah.
Blitz was really
Madden
good.
was the one that we would all get together and then and then you know what'd be great is if you had one friend that was really good and you beat them.
Yeah, they were
And
like
they would be pissed because that was their identity.
Yeah,
I'm the
good.
best. You got lucky, or there would be like cheap plays that you could run. But I remember Madden. The big thing was like you're looking at my plays.
Oh, like you're peeping. You're peeping. Yeah.
Hanging beads from their crotch mustache. Wow.
People do that?
That's Ariel Jones. You have a newfound respect for your creative mind. I don't believe that's even going down unless you're, you know, maybe in the 1960s.
How do you maintain that?
Actually, I'm sure there's some people out there that, you know, that's eccentric or something, you know, that's really cool. I guess that could be something. A crotch mustache. I've never heard that so eloquently put.
That's funny.
It's gross. Eduardo Martinez, baggy pants says Crystal. Baggy pants were in when I was young.
Well,
silver tab jeans.
What do they call back? Parachute pants?
Parachute pants is way old. Ariel Jones says laser electrolysis to different kind of hair removal. Okay. Laugh out loud. Kumbaya guy at all times. Come on, man. Come on. I'm not singing.
Any situation,
okay?
bust out the guitar.
Come on. Everyone sings, not me. Thank you.
Move on.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Nope.
Oh, that's too funny.
We got anyone else on deck? Anything else want to be added here? We went 2 hours, 26 minutes. Anyone
Has
want
it been 2:26? Jesus.
Yep. That's how it rolls. I'm glad I have my coffee. I couldn't do it if I were you. What time is it over there, Clutch?
It's only 9 to midnight. It's not too late.
Yeah. For me, I go to bed at like 10:30. If I don't go to bed by 10:30, I'm a crab in the morning a little bit. That's when you know you're older, man. That's when you know you gained age. You're like, it's 10 o'clock. You're like, oh, I'm so tired.
She says,
Mac, you and I need to sit down with a coaching session so I know what to look for. I'm slowly going to start hating camo pants. I'm slowly going to have a bedtime of 10 o'clock. And I'm going to have a relative discuss for anything that is not Asian.
Ariel Jones. You remember those?
Jenko jeans, yeah.
How old are you, Ariel Jones? Because that's a long time
That's
ago.
a long time, but they were popular for
I
for
never
many.
wore those.
No,
Those
but they were really popular.
They were too far, man. Those things were huge.
Like, I think, yeah, when I was in
I
school, they were
forgot
popular.
about Django jeans.
Flames tattoos by themselves. Betty says flame tattoos by themselves.
Yeah, just like the wraparound. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you remember highlights back in the day?
Highlights.
Is that a clothing?
Yeah.
line?
No, highlights like in hair. Guys used to highlight their hair.
Yeah.
No, I never did that.
I think I had that once or twice when I was like in 8th grade or something. I'm pretty sure. I remember I have some photos.
Isn't that funny when someone makes something that make fun and someone just goes quiet? You're like, okay.
Oh yeah, I was in 8th grade, so I'm not gonna hold. I'm not gonna say.
I was saying this before. I remember I was having this conversation about a year or two back with like some friend of friends, and something came up about getting intimacy like once a month, or I was like, oh, some people just go for once a month and they've been married for years, and like two guys just go completely quiet, and I went, oh shit. They're both married and they just went, yeah, like their face said, yeah, it's been years. Like I just went, I'll just drop it, dude. I'm sorry for sharing that with you guys. Like in my head,
this is where you slip $200 in their pocket, like my friend.
Yeah,
go down the street.
Ariel says her boyfriend has a tribal tramp stamp.
What?
Like one of those tribals, they were really popular, I guess.
But a tramp stamp's right on the lower back, right?
I think like they call that for the guys. Like that's for girls, right? The lower back.
Yeah,
right?
my ex-girlfriend got one, and she went to yoga, right? And she's Thai.
Oh yeah.
And when she got it, she had like a little birthmark above her bum. And so she got it around that, and this girl at the yoga that's no, above it, like a tramp,
like where the tramp stamp would be, or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
Dude, are you sure your girlfriend wasn't born with a tail?
Hey, so that's actually funny because I've just teased someone about that recently about the tail thing.
Karma,
She definitely didn't have a tail. So some girl at the yoga place was from California, and she's like, "Oh my God, you got a tramp stamp." My girl got pissed. She was like, "What? What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Like I was like, totally didn't get it.
Yeah.
Didn't think it was funny at all.
Right.
Man, she like wanted to fight her.
Like, oh, she did.
Well, I mean, because to her it wasn't cute. It wasn't a funny joke. It was like totally out of context.
Oh man.
Once a month intimacy, LOL. Tribal stamp. Some tattoo shops here offer those free if you get other tattoos. Oh hell no! I need to go to the Pound Town every day.
Every day.
Okay.
Yeah, California's close to midnight over here. Crystal. Okay. Whale tail? What does that mean?
He's talking about the tail comment that I just said. Yeah.
Oddly, some guys used to get a tramp stamps. Always wondered the appeal there. Did they know they were tramp stamps? That's the question.
Wait, in the lower back area? That.
Butterfly's the big one, right? Man, doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother me either.
Hey man. If you want to date a man with a tramp stamp, that is within your realm of possibilities, boys.
Oh man.
Well, I'm glad we stuck to the topic of karma, luck, and free will. And I could.
So, what are we going tramp stamps on the
We're
next
gonna
one?
get so much bad karma from this.
But these are the kinds of live streams. I'm gonna go home at the end of the year for November and December, maybe longer. I'm gonna have to
give me a call when you're in the West Coast, by the way.
Yeah, for sure I will. I'm gonna have to get my dad on. My dad will be hilarious. Oh my goodness. What? Huh?
What is this computer? I told you to write this in.
My dad's just a loud American.
Yeah.
What? Huh? And he's deaf in one ear, so it's even louder. Huh? What? Oh yeah, I know what that is. Okay. All right.
Why does he sound Jewish?
He's not Jewish at all. No.
The way you're describing, he's like, what?
No, he's not. No, it'll be Kick though. And my dad's one of those. He's got an opinion on everything too. But I probably wouldn't want to go live. I'd have to maybe screen that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that might be a little. Yeah.
Dad's in his 70s. When you get in your 70s, you don't have any filter.
No
man.
filters.
It's just like right. There's just like I don't care. I don't care. It's like, hey, you can't say no. I don't care.
I'm 70. I don't care.
Yeah. Who's listening? Oh, okay, whatever.
These are 23 people I would never speak to again.
Yeah. David Beckham has one of those. I didn't even know that there was a term for tramp stamp for men. I used to have a screaming German neighbor that had an accent like that. Man, it counts. Looking back on life and living in a few different places, your neighbors count, man. Your neighbors really count, dude. We grew up in a suburb street, and we had the quietest, calmest, mind your own business neighbors. By the way, they one of them was, I think, Jewish, Clutch. So maybe that's where that voice came from. And the others were, I think, Vietnamese, but like just mind your own business, kind.
No problem.
And then I've lived in other places where I'm like, God, I didn't know neighbors could be this way. Just complete jerks, right? It's like, and it's, when they're your neighbors, it's part of your life, man.
You're dealing with them on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's like, it's like if you go to look to buy a new place, or you get an apartment or a condo, you want to know. I had this like 2 years ago. I was staying at an apartment in Phuket Town, which is, well, I'm talking to B. No one else knows Phuket Town probably. But in the apartment, it was one of those just like studios. It was just temporary. And I didn't know who the guy was next door. I never met him or anything. But these are, one room, almost like a hotel. And he'd play his music at night. And it's like, all right, you got a right to play your music and stuff. And then, max bedtime, 10:30, 11 o'clock. Sorry, Clutch. And I'm like trying to go to sleep, and he would play songs on repeat.
So you hear the same thing.
It wouldn't even be
over
like
and
he was
over
playing
again.
different music,
Oh my
right?
God.
So it was just like, it was, it was, what do you call that when you do it on repeat? I forgot there's the other term. But anyways, it's on repeat.
A loop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
loop. There you
loop.
go, bro.
Yeah.
And one night it was like a breakup R&B song. that he was just, and I was just
Over
like,
and
and it was
over.
blaring, right? And finally, you're just like, I don't want to go to the door. I don't want to go to the door. I don't want to go to the door. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm like, doesn't come to the door. Doesn't come to the door. I'm like, damn, he must be having sex. Like, he must be with a girl in there. So, and part of me, being a guy, go, give him a break. Right? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's not a breakup song. Maybe I got the words wrong. I don't know. Right? So I just leave him alone. It went on all night. So the next day, I went to the secretary. I was like, or the lady at the
front desk
downstairs,
or whatever. Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, look, can you just tell this guy, I don't want any problems or anything like that. I'm not like that. I go, but just tell him to just turn his music down or off. I even went to his door. I don't know what's going on. And you know what he told her? He's like, oh, I was asleep. I fell asleep.
That's how he goes to sleep.
Yeah, he was comatose.
Wow.
Dude, I thought you were going to tell me the guy was dead.
I thought, honestly, I thought the story was going that way too.
Well, obviously he had something else he took. You don't fall asleep like that.
Some pills or something.
Yeah,
or
he
whatever,
was. Yeah, he's smoking some herb or something.
Or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, but if you had to hear this song my point is repeat R&B song, and you're going to sleep, you're just like, dude, and it just starts over again.
And you're like, at least if it was something different,
and you
you'd be
try
like,
to get in the
"Alright."
groove, like where you're like, all right, I can fall asleep, I can fall asleep, I can fall asleep. And I even tried to put in like headphones, listen to something else. Sorry, it wasn't as good an ending as you thought, but I tell the truth. Ariel Jones, my neighbor, is so nosy and weird. She whispered to Mavar, a community event. She couldn't hear me through the walls. I don't understand. Boys to Men on repeat. I once had a neighbor that had songs from the 90s group Enigma on repeat all weekend. Yeah. Do people really listen to songs on repeat?
I don't know.
I didn't know
I
that
listen to the same bands on repeat, but not the same songs.
Man,
Like you'll throw in the same CD and listen to it for forever.
one of the funniest ones I've ever seen for someone playing a song during a breakup is my college roommate when I lived in San Diego. And he only had this one girlfriend. It was his first girlfriend, and he's kind of a tough dude. Wouldn't show his feelings that much. And I come home, and he's playing, I think it's by Amon, I think is the guy, and it's like, fuck you, you bitch. It's literally the name of the song.
Yeah.
And he had it blaring in the house, and I'm like, John, what's wrong? And he's like head in his pillow on repeat, and he's like, fuck you, you bitch. Like, he's just,
Yeah.
and he's singing it as loud as he can, like rolling over in bed. And I'm like, at the time, This is before my breakup coach years. I was thinking to myself, "You're being a bitch,
What
dude."
are you doing? Oh man.
Right? No
Yeah.
sensitivity. At the time, I was like, I was single for like a couple years, and I was like, just let her go, dude. I never liked her anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. And he's just like,
That's the worst when you're going through a breakup and everyone's like, "Oh, I never liked her anyways." I'm like, come on, man, that's not helping at all.
Yeah.
I will say though, living in San Diego and then having two buddies because we had a roommate situation where we got along really well in that place. It will help during a breakup because you have immediate rather than living alone. Your friends are there. I think the hardest is just when you're alone for too long in that room or something like that. But it was just funny. Like at the time, I was like, "What? Never liked her anyways, man." Like, you want to smoke some herb?
Have you guys ever watched the movie Euro Trip at all?
Yeah.
Not for is that with Tom Green?
No, you're thinking of Road Trip.
Sorry,
Yeah.
way off.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, just in like Europe, I guess.
It's kind of the same thing, yeah. But like one of the songs in there, Scotty doesn't know, right?
Yeah.
One of my buddies in university was named Scott. He called me over and he's like, "Oh, like I fucking broke up." So I go over there and there's another friend there and I'm trying my best to console him and he's just like, "Oh, she fucking cheated." And his buddy started playing Scotty Doesn't Know on the computer. I'm just looking at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Oh, mercy. People do some funny things to cope.
Isn't that funny though when you can look back at a situation like that and get the same kick out of it? Right? It's like me and B are like, "Yeah, we weren't there. It wasn't as funny," but I understand what you mean because I know what it's like when you're there and you're like, "Oh my goodness," right? Like I said, walking in on my
awkward situation.
But at the time when you're in your early 20s, you're like, "Come on, man." Like what's going on? Like what's the deal here? That's
Easy.
What's this all about? You knew it was coming, right? Modern Shrink actually knows that song. Modern Shrink, would you play it? She says it's actually F-U, you ho. I think you're correct, by Amon. I think it's Amon. But he had the blasting, and he was singing the lyrics, and I was just going, wow, what a thin line between love and hate. I thought you guys were getting married and having kids, you told me. My sister's side fancies himself a rock star. He's been playing the same strum for 12 years. I would have strangled him with the strings. Okay.
Dude, we're getting confessions of people wanting to murder other people in their life.
Euro Trip, yeah, the song Scotty Doesn't Know song.
Oh my god.
I miss though, like when we had that roommate dynamic in San Diego and we had neighbors and we were all this, man, that was so much fun. That was the time of my life, man. Because if you can get where you have roommates that you really get along and you're all single and you're all on the same page. Did you ever have that, Clutch, when you were in college?
I had roommates that were hilarious. Like, I was the only one from Toronto, and all these kids were from northern parts of Ontario, so like really remote areas. And like I remember one time we had a TV lounge area on my university res floor. And I was just watching TV, and all of a sudden my roommate walks in, and he's fucking plastered, like absolutely barely coherent. And he's walking in with boxers, and I'm like, "Oh, hey." And there was a girl with me, and she's like, "Oh, hey, Cal, you looking sexy?" And he just looks at us and says, "I'm not trying to be sexy. I'm trying to find the fucking bathroom." He was so fucking drunk that he didn't know how to find our own bathroom in our own room.
Those were the good times, man. I have so many stories from. It was only like a year and a half, and I had to go after that. But oh, man, it's fun because you just get home and the party's at your house.
It's like you're ready to go.
I lived there, and I remember when I lived in Mission Beach, I literally put, I don't know, like a couple thousand miles on my car that year because once you got home, you just didn't go. You could walk to like bars, restaurants, the boardwalk. Yeah. It was great. The
Did you ever have it where you came home and there was a random girl in your bedroom you had no idea who she was?
No, and I wouldn't tell you. No, I'm just. Oh man, there was some crazy stuff that happened though. We had fun though. It was just fun. It was good fun though. I mean, that was like, and that's the thing that's hard with roommates though, to find people. And the funny thing is going into that situation, the guy that I worked with, I wasn't really good friends with him. He's like, I got a room available, but I knew he was responsible, but I wasn't. And then as a roommate, great roommate. As a coworker, I thought he was sometimes kind of a jerk.
Right.
He came into the place we worked at later, so he wasn't in with my group of people. But as a roommate, fucking excellent.
Different
Yeah,
environments.
ended up being really good
You
friends.
mesh or whatever. It's interesting.
Well, what I'd say about roommates is that sometimes your best friends aren't the best roommates.
Sure. Yeah.
You're telling me out of all this people, Mac?
You know, sometimes your best friends aren't the best roommates, right? They like you think like, oh, me and this friend, I can't wait till you.
And then it just is like
You got to look at their habits and stuff. Responsibility, and if the person has a job and pays their bills, is first and foremost, and mutual respect. But
Sure.
I've had horrible luck with roommates. It's not about luck. No, I'm just thanks for sticking with the title, Ariel. We're gonna send you 10,000 points in the mail. First, didn't pay rent. The sound stole everything, even the fridge. The sound, or the person didn't. Yeah. Well, like I said, that one friend that I had that didn't pay rent and owed me ended up being my luckiest, and he's still a good friend now because I just chose to forgive. I just went, you know what? And I know,
Forgive.
well, it's also, if you know that person's capable of paying you, that's when it bothers you more, right? If you're like,
It's true.
if someone's
They're
just
holding
getting,
on to it.
if someone's just like, getting by with their daily bills and stuff, I'm not going to be like, hey, how about that $2,000 from, it's a choice. I let it go a long time ago, and I'm glad I did. Your roommate's problems become your problems, Coach Mac. That is a statement I say. By the way, your girlfriend or boyfriend's problems become your problems, period.
Yep. Yep.
I should have really listened to that before the last relationship.
They do. They like, you don't think it. That's why you have to listen when they're like, my best friend, and they're entangled in their best friend's relationship, and I think they're gonna have to come over tonight and stay here, and you're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem, no big deal, and you're like, then a year later you're like, I should have known Tammy was gonna be a problem, or I should. It's like, yep, yep, that's true.
When people tell you who they are, believe them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. Or they show you. It's like the amount of people, I don't know if you've had this, Clutch, it's shocking. The amount of people that look on someone's phone and do detective work. And when I say detective work, they find a way to do some Sherlock Holmes type. They get in. They get in. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah. The phone wasn't left on the table. They went.
They went and sought out.
Yeah, they went and got like a and they always tell me it in a simple way, like, well, actually, I already have the code, so I didn't mean to do it. And I'm like, how'd you
get the code?
Did you watch them put it in, or did they say, hey, hun, do you ever need to break into my phone?
Right.
To look if I'm talking to someone else, right?
Right.
They usually always like just go through that really quick, but they keep it. Like I know one guy that whatever his girl's email is and her phone, he knows it, and he's never told her
that he knows.
Yeah, he's never told her, and then he finds some stuff out, but he won't say anything. And then you just ask questions to incriminate her. And I'm like,
fucked up.
But I'm like, at what point do you want to just come out with it? No, I want to see if she lies. But then once they broke up, he still had it, right? So every once in a while, instead of going to social media, why not just get the exact shit that's going on? Right?
Just go right to the source.
And then he'd come back to me and be like,
oh my god,
yeah, I checked the phone again. And I'm like, why are you checking it 2 months out of the
broken
break?
up? Oh man,
just torture, right? Torture.
It's like that's a guaranteed way of like guaranteeing you're going to break up with someone, especially if the girl's attractive. She's going to constantly get hit on. So
right, and like I said, they'll ask. A lot of where I was going with that, they'll go, well, I'm not going to say anything. I just want to see what she says. I'm like, she's not going to tell you.
She's not going to tell you. Oh yeah,
guys, I hate to break it to you. Attractive women get hit on a daily basis.
Oh, if they're on social media a lot,
yeah,
it's gonna happen constantly.
Yeah,
constantly.
So,
well, non-attractive women get hit on a lot too.
Yeah, there's just a lot of thirsty guys out there. That's all.
You're gonna end up triggering some women on this chat. I'm already calling you.
No. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. It's common, right? It's a non-attractive woman can be attractive. don't wear camo pants, first of all. But
That's the first prerequisite.
The Coach Max's 10 steps to being a beautiful woman. Number 1.
No camo.
Chuckster says, Max like, but I let this go. I forgot about it. It's water under the bridge. I don't think about the $2,100 she owes me at all anymore. Shh. Well, the money I'm talking about is I've never had a woman owe me money that was a girlfriend or anything like that. Because if you have a girlfriend, it's not a loan, dude.
No. Unless it's written
It's
somewhere.
a fucking
No.
decision.
It's a decision. Yeah.
You don't go, hey, we broke up. You know, like you know how I helped you out with your car? I kind of want that back now. No,
Yeah.
probably, it's probably not going to happen.
You know that tit job I paid for.
Yeah, it's like
those back.
Yeah, hey, when I helped you out with your rent, I kind of want that money back. No, doesn't work that way. Doesn't usually work that way. Good luck with that. And even if she goes, I'm going to pay you back. Good luck. Yeah, that was just a kind little. I'm saying that, but I want you to say, don't worry about it. Right.
Yeah.
And it would be great though, like in a sitcom, if you had that situation. Hey, you know what? I was thinking about, I'm going to pay you back for that money I borrowed. And you went, yeah, can I get that today?
Yeah.
Can I get that at
Right.
about 3:00? Here's my bank account.
Right.
They'd go,
What?
Oh, I was thinking that maybe down the road.
Down the road sometime.
Rob says just never lend Bitcoin. Can you lend Bitcoin?
Sure.
You can lend Bitcoin.
I mean, you both have.
Why does
wallets.
Rob always bring up Bitcoin?
Because he has a lot of it. So he wants. He has a lot of it. So it's like it's. I'll tell you this, Rob. How about this one? Start spending it, bud, because you can't take it with you. How about that one? If you've got a lot of Bitcoin. No, watch this. Rob will have some kind of really strong, smart. You can't
Probably
take it with.
He'll come out and say you should invest in GameStop.
You can't take it with you, man. Just do what you can now. Good point. Like some people, though, it just gets me when you're. I mean, I imagine you got to be in the millions, right, Rob? If you've invested as much as I think in Bitcoin, if you're at that stage, I think you deserve to do something better than Max Livestream. You got to show up out here in Phuket and be on the scene or something, man. We got to get. You got. I mean, if you hit it big on Bitcoin, that's found money, man. That's cool, man. I know what I would do. I know what I would do if I had a couple $100,000.
What's her name?
Huh?
What's her name?
There's no name to that. There's no name to that. I have a personal question. Do you think it's easier or harder to find someone interested in you and not you because of your career? Short answer, no. I don't. Are you talking about being a breakup coach, Modern Shrink specifically, and you're talking to me specifically, right? Do you think it's easier or harder to find someone interested in you and not because of your career? Are you talking about anyone in particular? Because you said personal, so I'm a little confused. I just keep it stashed away. You should invest in GameStop then. No. I'll tell you what, when I get some money to invest, I'll call you. But right now I don't have any to invest. Treat yourself, Rob. Thanks, Ariel Jones. Okay, so yes, it is me. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's I definitely don't feel like I'm someone that's famous or something where I'm getting emails and someone's going like,
"Oh, I'm getting back because of his live streams."
Oh, Coach Mac, tell me how many subscribers you have on your channel.
I wish it was like that. I've definitely met some clients that said that they found me attractive, but that's as far as the line goes. And no one really lives close to where I live. So
it's not a Craig Kenneth type statement, right? It's like, Craig Kenneth, you're super cute. He stares at the screen. He's like, well then.
I don't watch a lot of Craig Kenneth, but I'll tell you what, the one, and I haven't watched many because his voice is tough for me. But one of the ones that I've seen before, he's just like, I'll tell you how to get the most gorgeous women. If you just follow what I do, you'll get the most gorgeous, incredible women you've ever dated in your life. And I'm like, who, you? like really? Mm-hmm. And then I was talking about this on a live stream a while back, maybe years back. And everyone was like, you haven't heard about the Chili's girl, Mac? And I'm like, what? And
I'm the like, Chili girl, yeah.
And I'm like,
no, it's not Chili. It's
Chili's, like the restaurant.
The restaurant Chili's.
So no, it's not Chili's. It's was it IHOP or no? It's not Chili's. I know what you're talking about.
Well, evidently he had a bad breakup or some girl that worked at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. We'll just leave it at that, Clutch. Mm-hmm. I don't want to miss.
Sure.
I don't want someone to get pissed at me that I said Chili's instead of IHOP or Denny's
Applebee's
or whatever.
Applebee's.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Oh, you're right. You know what? I think you're right. Okay, Applebee's, good one. Wow, that was intuition. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, something like, I don't know the whole complete story, and his story is he was crying, he was upset, and she was so gorgeous, and she was so great. And I just was like, okay, like, gorgeous is a strong word. I don't use gorgeous. I don't use gorgeous often. Gorgeous has.
That's upper.
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
That's a 1% thing.
That's upper tier.
Yeah, that's. I would say like. Who would you find gorgeous? That's a movie star.
A movie star?
Gorgeous.
Because that's the only thing everyone. I would
Jessica
say
Alba.
Ah, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I would say Jennifer Lopez back in the day.
No, man, that woman's a bitch.
That has nothing to do with it.
This gorgeous rapper in personality. No,
I don't know her personally, but I mean when she was like, I don't know, that's got to be like 20 years ago when she was pretty.
Oh yeah.
This is mainly hearsay, but apparently she's the type of person that won't even talk to you if you're an assistant.
Well, I don't care. I still find her gorgeous. That's fine. She would talk to me, I think. I would find a way.
You'd get in there somehow.
I would talk to her. I don't know if I'd pull her. I wouldn't go that far. But I would say I would be able to chat with her. I'd have a conversation. I'd say, I know you think you're special. But guess what? You're not. You're going to get older. Things are going to happen. No. You're not a very good singer. No. Yeah, we're at treat yourself, Rob.
Treat yourself. It's a Parks and Recreation quote, Mac.
Is it? Is that a show?
Yeah,
like, kind of like The Office.
Yeah, it's basically an episode where once a year they go out and just spend a shit ton of stuff just to like spoil themselves. So they say, treat yourself.
Okay. Petty Betty says, who's Craig Kenneth? Who, you? That's the one
I'm Craig Kenneth, a dating coach and a psychotherapist.
That's pretty good, man. Stop, please. Yeah. Can you please stop? Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, but I've to be fair, I've had a few clients that have talked to him too, and I'm like, oh yeah, really? What did he say? And it's funny because they'll be like, and I mentioned that I talked to you too, and I'm like, oh yeah, what did he say? And they're like, he just said, okay, whatever.
I had, without naming names, I had one of my clients go to him, and she's from the UK, and he's like, I love your Australian accent. I'm like, that is such a Craig Kenneth thing to say.
Oh my goodness, that's funny, bro. Nah, that's funny. No, but getting back to the gorgeous thing though, it's like when people do mention that, like I date nothing but it's like I said, are you gonna show us the pictures? I mean, how do?
Yeah, what's your?
And by the way, who thinks Jennifer Alba's pretty up there? I would say that's pretty good, but some people might think she's unattractive. Who knows? Who knows what she looks like in person?
Sure. Jennifer Gardner.
I'm not on.
She's okay. She's okay.
I'm not a Gardner fan.
Modern Shrink. Can I ask you the same question yourself? You are 5'2" female, 27 years old, marriage and family counselor. If I could direct that back at you, is it harder to find someone interested in you and not because of your career? Or is that going to affect you when you're dating that, or maybe you're already with someone? Ooh, I don't even know.
I will say that in your 30s as a man, definitely hard.
What?
To find a girl that's not aiming for just your career.
You think so, huh?
Yeah, like there's an age associated with it. I have found.
I agree.
Based on the people I've spoken with, because like usually when you're 30, you're dating women in their 20s, and yeah, there's definitely a heavy emphasis on career.
Sure. Well, it doesn't seem completely unreasonable because a lot of women in their 30s, if they're looking for a long-term relationship, which I would think.
Looking for stability or whatever.
I mean, even doing what I do when I talk to someone in their late 20s to early 30s, there is a urgency that I feel from them about getting married or having kids. And so there's this pressure, and I'm sure that, it changes the game a little bit. But
It's true.
I mean,
He sounds like he's reporting from a hurricane in his intro. That's so true.
Hey,
Judith.
Judith, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Judith's in Paris, actually. I find Catherine Winnick hypnotizing. I don't know who that is. I would have to look her up. Catherine Winnick? I'm not familiar with her.
Neither am I.
I feel like I shouldn't, but I do, Rom, okay? I don't know what that's about. Single men think I'm always psychoanalyzing them. Are you?
You probably are.
Catherine Winnick's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
I have never heard of this.
I don't know who she is.
She's a Canadian actress.
What, she's
Are y'all
one of
Canadians?
36 million of us?
You Canadians all don't know each other? What?
Oh man, if you guys want a good laugh, you need to check out the Molson Canadian commercials. So in Canada, we don't have a sense of patriotism like the US. So instead, the way we express our patriotism is through our beer commercials. And it's commercial after commercial of Americans trying to fit our stereotypes and us just making fun of them for it.
I know. Canadians think they're really different than Americans, but I think they're very similar. Silence.
There we go, Max. There we go, Max generalizing again. I mean, come on.
Did you just get... Yeah. Clutch, you're way quicker than that usually.
I just had to think about it, and I'm like, where's he going with this?
He was like, is he serious? Would he actually say that? Canadians are so much better. I've had my experience with not all Canadian people, but I've had some that are a bit self-righteous. Not you, but when it comes to, but
You were rather quick on that little draw.
no, because I'm just saying I've had ones before that get into the American politics and all this other things, and I'm just like, okay, and you Americans, and I'm like, okay, you're taking us all on, huh? And it's like we're all grouped in, aren't we? It's like, okay. Lagritha and Vikings. That's who that is that she mentioned, Catherine Winnick. I know who Lagritha is.
You know who's a beautiful actress or a stunning actress? Alicia Cuthbert.
Alicia Cuthbert. I don't know. I'm not good with names for actors and actresses.
She was in 24. Do you remember 24, the show?
With
the
Kiefer
daughter?
Sutherland?
Yeah.
I don't remember. That's an old one.
Or in Old School? Is it Old School?
Old School?
Yeah, Old School.
She was the college, the
She was
daughter?
the teenage daughter of like the boss.
Yeah.
The teenage daughter of like the boss. Okay.
The one that he hooks up with, or whatever.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just remember, let's go streaking.
Yeah.
He remembers when Will Ferrell gets naked. That's the part he remembers.
Let's go streaking. Jack Bauer, 24. Okay. Not the case. I like having a life outside of therapy. I would say this, Modern Shrink, just throwing in my little analyzing myself. If you've heard it from more than one guy, it might be true. So if you feel if it's not just one guy that said that, men think I'm always psychoanalyzing, and you're like, that's like 5 guys have told you that, there might be some truth there.
Does Modern Shrink have a good sense of humor, or should I just stay back?
Well, I don't know if she likes your sense of humor, but
well, I don't want to trigger anyone.
I don't know.
Like
know.
all I'm thinking is like she's having sex with someone and she's telling the guy, "How does that make you feel?"
That would be that's not something I would say, but okay, Clutch. It's only been one? Okay, well then that's just one opinion then. I wouldn't take that because you said men think I'm always. So then yeah, okay. I would say that
Well, we found the foundation to her triggers, my friend.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's only been one. So if that's the case, it's probably someone that didn't like the fact that you're gonna be if you're a shrink, you're gonna analyze things more than the average bear, right? So even me now with coaching, I find if I go out with anyone, if I go out with friends, if I go out with anyone, I analyze the conversation way more than I used to. I don't say it all the time. I don't say like, hey, identity statement, something like that, but I catch it more. So I think that's just going to be built in anyway. So modern shrink, you should probably be looking into getting another shrink. And then you guys could probably do a marriage and family practice together. Hey Mac, do you think Hey Mac, do you drink the Thai coffee? I drink coffee in Thailand. I don't know if it's Thai coffee.
Not like a specific. There might be a specific.
No, we have coffee that's, but I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I kind of just drink coffee. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like someone that goes, I just drink alcohol to get drunk, and they go and get a 40 of St. Ides or something. No, I just like coffee the way it is. I don't know the beans.
But they have like Thai tea.
Yeah, I think that she's talking about like some places in the States have something called a Thai coffee.
Okay.
That's different. I think it's probably the one that they put that carnation milk in, the canned milk. I think it's that. It's much sweeter. They put sugar and everything here.
Yeah, sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah, they love to put the sweetener and everything. So you always have to ask people if you get coffee to not put sugar in. And when I say sugar, it's syrup. It's like
layered.
It's like you take a straw full of it and you go. your neck goes like back and you're like, whoa, and they're like, oh, you like sweet? No, can I have another one, please? She's playing Princess Di. Okay, 3 hours. It's been a marathon. It's been good. Wow. I think I think karma, luck, and free will is a great topic to jump into other things. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. I haven't heard that one in a long time. Thank you. Man. Anything else people want to talk about? I feel like I'm a little spent here. I got the juice to talk some more. How's your live streams been going, Clutch? Pretty active? Similar to this?
To be honest, I need to start producing more content. I've just been caught up with work and everything. I did do a live stream with another coach who I do want to introduce you to at some point, who's a lovely woman who specializes in bipolar and cluster B personality disorders.
I didn't watch the full thing, but you did send me a link, and I started watching some of it. Yeah, it was interesting. And she's based in California too, or?
I believe she's based in the UK actually.
Okay. And how'd you come across her?
Just my random YouTubing. I came across her, and then I emailed her, and we were exchanging emails back and forth. And then people on my Discord said, "Oh, you have to listen to this girl." I'm like, "I'm already talking to her, actually."
So serendipity.
Yeah. If I like your content, I usually reach out just to get to know you, to assess what kind of person you're like first. And she seemed nice, so I'm like, okay, let's get it done.
Did you learn some things from that interaction?
I did. I also learned that apparently a few people on my Discord were triggered by that by that discussion. Just because a lot of people, like when it comes to cluster B and bipolar conditioning, like it's hard for people to tackle it, as I'm sure someone like Modern Shrink can probably attest to. A lot of times whenever you're dealing with problems, particularly of that nature, people have a tendency to double down. So rather than address their own internal conflicts, they'll just project their insecurities onto you, it's always a sensitive subject, but very enlightening, super enlightening.
Where did she get her background from? Is she you said she's coaching, or did she study this, or?
No, she's a therapist or a psychologist, I believe. Her education and such, you'd have to ask her, but seems very enlightened, very knowledgeable, very quick on the wit, like you and I. but different perspectives, which is always nice to hear.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you're gonna drop some more content on about what specifically are you gonna go into your next couple videos, you think?
I want to start talking about family trauma. So we're going to start diving into upbringings and its impact. Like the next video I want to release, and I have to just find the energy to do it, is going to be called The Perfect Family. And this is just about people that have grown up in a family that are so obsessed with social image that emotions get suppressed and people's emotional needs aren't satisfied. So as soon as they connect with someone else, they try to satisfy this need to get this emotional connection. And then, of course, that usually gets amplified, and it usually burns out and simmers out pretty quickly. And just becomes a repetitive pattern.
It's funny you mentioned this family thing. I have a client right now that just... I almost want to pull it up really quick to get the... Chuckster, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. 3 hours in. First one. I appreciate it. Modern Shrink says it's nice that she has an educational background, because Modern Shrink can appreciate that because she has an educational background too. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Modern Shrink, are you going to come on and share your expertise one day to the live stream? Is that possible for you? I think you told me you'd send me an email. This is what my email was titled, and maybe you can shed some light on this. Is religious trauma syndrome real? This client of mine, actually, he's gay, and in high school he had a girlfriend. He's in his early 20s now. He had a girlfriend in his early 20s. In high school, and then his family's highly religious. We'll just say Christian, and went to church every Sunday, and it was part of their life. Yeah. And he had, people that he was close to in the church and whatnot. And then when he about 19 or 20s, when he came to me, he had a bad breakup or something like that. But he was also dealing with his family and coming out and all these things at one time. And one of the biggest things that I encouraged him to do was move out if he could, because his family wasn't accepting of it, and now he's an adult, and if it's possible, even to get roommates. And he did that, and he's come a long, long way. But he just sent me this email, Clutch, called "Is Religious Trauma Syndrome Real?" And he's been doing, I guess, a little research on it. And he was actually asking about, if I knew someone that specialized in this. I said me and him could talk about it a bit, but it says symptoms are difficulty trusting oneself, low self-esteem, or feeling indebted to a group of people, skewed views of sex, discipline, emotional regulation, relationships, and self-expressions. Have you heard of this? Religious trauma syndrome?
Yep.
Yeah. Like I told him, I said, I haven't heard this, but it sounds about as real as could be. It makes sense to me. And one of the things that he was doing still was he sees his parents and he still goes to church, but he feels like everyone's looking at him. And I told him, hey, look, if you want to keep your faith in your own way, I told him basically, you can come up with something else to do on Sunday afternoon and go to another church, or you need to get away from that, because if you're feeling shame from those people in a big scene like that, it's just gonna it's
Gets amplified.
Yeah, it gets amplified, and I can only imagine that feeling where everyone that he's come out that he's come out, right? And then he goes with his parents, and I said, you can tell your parents you have something to do on that afternoon and still meet them for dinner during the week or something like that. But that's something he's kind of tackling right now. But I'll definitely recommend your thing with the family. I'm sorry, your topic. Yeah.
Trauma.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised his family keeps the relationship, to be honest.
And different people I've talked to over the years, and this isn't always the case, it doesn't always have to be gay, but it could be that you're with someone that your parents don't like, or
they think they can change you.
Yeah,
right?
and I said, a lot of times if your parents' love is high enough, which love is defined different ways for different people, they should be able to overcome the fact that you're not going to give in, because it's not like he's doing something bad with society. So he said that one of the other things is one of his other siblings has actually come out too. That's a female. So now he said that like they're like, oh, I've encouraged her. But one of the best things he's done is move out. Right?
Change your environment.
Well, you couldn't. You're just constantly getting judged.
Bombarded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, really good kid, man. Really good guy. Just like I said, just 21, dealing with a lot of stuff. But as I told him from 2 years ago, he's just come a long way and moving out. Because a lot of times moving out for people, he's actually in, I think in Orange County. I think that's where you are, Clutch, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's in. So it's expensive, right? So
yeah.
And I told him, look, you get roommates or find a way. And then he did that. He got a roommate. He had shared a room, and then he had to. And then I said, from there, usually once you move out, you don't go back for a long time. So you find a way to upgrade. So now he's upgraded to getting his own room. And I said, this is part of the process when you move out of your house.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to move out and go, I just want a really nice place, man. You're laughing because your first apartment, it's like, like my first apartment in San Diego, my own, that was a studio place, and I was supposed to have roommates. It was rugged, man. But I remember thinking like my first week, like, this is cool. Got my own place, man. It was a mess quickly.
I always found it funny because like people, like even now, people were telling me, oh, you should save up money and buy a house. And I'm like, dude, like, where do you think I'm going to go? Like, I have to live on somewhere. I can't be living in a shoebox until I have enough money for a down payment.
I think that there's a lot of people that, living with their parents or family members gets really comfortable. And then the longer you do it, it becomes like, it's harder.
You're grounded there. So
it's harder.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous, actually, because there's a big segment of people in California that do that because it's expensive to move out. I know so.
Sure.
Yeah, no, my mom has some friends that basically never grew up, and they're in their 30s, and they just stayed living with their parents. And my mom's like, she doesn't have I'm like, well, they're not motivated, really.
What reason do they have to move?
Yeah, right. I mean, and then it becomes harder to get that instinct as you get older, because it just becomes learned. How am I going to just stay home? How am I going to negotiate this? Internal family systems therapy is what I would encourage for your client. Okay, thanks for that, Modern Shrink. I appreciate it. I think we're at a point now. Chuckster, thanks for the $9.99. It is much appreciated. This is where everyone that's on deck should throw in $9.99 each. It's been 3 hours.
I'm not throwing in $9.99.
I'm having a Coach Mac mug made that I will be individually numbering. It'll be individually numbered to 111, and I will give you, Chuck, you get number 1. So, and it'll be personally signed.
For those of you that donate $9.99, you will be getting good personalized karma from Coach Mac himself.
There you go. There you go.
That's absolutely the truth. I wish you all well. All right, folks, this has been really good. It's been fun. I'm glad I had a nice cup of coffee before I started because it helped. Clutch, thanks for staying on. It's been really good. I appreciate it, bro. We'll have to do it again. And
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Clutch.
And I'll be looking out for the women in camo pants.
Dude, that's what's going to happen. You're going to fall for a girl in camo pants. And you're going to be like, karma.
Changed my life.
I'll have to send you a picture. Now I can see it now on I got Clutch on WhatsApp. Every time you come across a camoed female, which I don't. It's so funny because it's confirmation bias, right? It's like I never see it.
And then now
you'll be seeing someone suited and booted, and you'll be like, oh hey, Mac.
You know what's going to happen? You're going to be like, Clutch, I started dating the girl with camo pants, and I don't even have to imagine what she looks like without them on.
Thank you, Modern Shrink. I appreciate it. Be sure to, I told you to email me before if you want to come on. Have you watched any Vegas Summer League, says Rob IS? Yeah, I did. Actually, I watched the highlights. I'm pretty excited about the new Warriors. I'm excited about being able to watch some young guys that look like they're going to be really good. Really good. So we'll see what happens. Time will tell. Thanks again to everyone that was on. Modern Shrink, like I said, hopefully you get on one of these because it's nice to have a real professional.
Hint, hint, hint.
Yeah, a real professional, right? It's a very big compliment that someone like myself is being followed by someone that did the education and the work to say that they're a marriage counseling such and such, go through all that work right now. I'm actually looking at my hypnotherapy programs right now to further that. You ever want to try that, Clutch? You want to get hypnotized?
Sure, but as long as you're not going to convince me to date someone.
Sure, but.
I can imagine getting me to fall for a girl with camo pants and be like, ultimate revenge.
Well, he's not there yet. I don't think he can control that.
It's going to be an eternal joke for the rest of the time, huh?
It's like, Clutch, I found the perfect girl. I'm like, but does she have camo?
It's pretty funny though, right? Because I think if you asked if we took a study on camo pants and how many men liked them, that would be really funny actually.
Dude, I will run a poll on my YouTube channel right now. How many of you are into camo pants?
We can go to a place like Santa Monica or somewhere in SoCal and go around and interview and go up to guys and go like, what do you think about women in camo pants? Tell the truth.
Yes or no?
Actually, I bet a lot of guys, maybe 40 or 50%, would be like, I don't have a problem with it. It's cool.
Whatever.
Does she look good?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Whatever.
Fine. All right. Got to get lunch. Thanks for the
Yeah, it was
donations.
fun.
Take it easy. Take it easy, Clutch. We'll
See you
talk
guys.
again, bro.
Sounds good.
All right, late.